So, welcome everyone to the May 26, 2022 school committee meeting. In keeping with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency as amended by Governor Baker on February 12, 2022. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live on Facebook and recorded on ECAP. This meeting is open to the public. We'll take questions via the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. Please make sure to include your full name and address. We will do our best to answer all questions. However, we will not read questions that have already been answered. All right. So first up is our minutes. So we have the regular school committee meeting minutes from Thursday, April 28th, 2022. Any questions, comments, or edits? No, okay.
None.
Can I get a motion to accept the regular school committee meeting minutes from Thursday, April 28th, 2022?
O'Neill, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Star second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star yes.
All right, thank you. Next up is the regular school committee meeting minutes from Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. Questions, comments, or edits? All right. Can I get a motion to accept the regular school committee meeting minutes from Thursday, May 17th, 2022?
DeLuca, so moved.
Can I get a second?
O'Neill, second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star yes.
Excellent, thank you. All right, next up is the executive session school committee minutes from Thursday, April 28th, 2022. Does anyone want me to hold them for edits? Okay, can I get a motion to accept the executive session meeting minutes from Thursday, April 28th, 2022, but not release?
Wiseman, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Star second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, abstain.
Wiseman, yes.
Star yes.
All right, thank you. Wow, we went right through those. Presentation of the CADCA/84 Youth Coalition Groups, Dr. Cabral.
So much. We have two staff members here this evening, Eileen Gardner and Kelly Reed, who's not a staff member, but she is our YMCA consultant. She's data analyst, and she works with the Easton Wings of Hope. They're here this evening because I invited them. We have, as you probably remember, had a visit from Senator Walter Timilty to come and see them present their students present the information on their accomplishments and projects going forward for two organizations, the 84 and also the Youth Coalition Group. They did such a wonderful job, and Senator Timilty really enjoyed hearing from them that he invited them to come to the State House for a visit. We'll be doing that on June 7th. He will have them on the Senate floor, and he will host them. They will meet other legislators. So these are students who are involved in some very important advocacy for the cessation and support for anyone who wants to avoid using tobacco or drugs and alcohol, or quit if they've already started. They're very, as you will see, very articulate, very intelligent young women and men who are representing our district wonderfully. I knew that you would want to hear the presentation for yourselves, and so I've asked them to come here this evening. Corinne McCarthy is also involved with this work. She is, of course, our director of student health and wellness, or the PE Health and Wellness Department. and also Danielle Erickson, family consumer science teacher at the middle school. They could not be here this evening, but Kelly Reed is here and Eileen Gardner is here, and I'll actually have them introduce the students who will be presenting, and I'm confident you will enjoy what they have to offer this evening, so you can see what they've been working on and what's coming up for the group. And I will now send it over to Mrs. Gardner. Thanks for being here, Mrs. Gardner.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been actually such a bright spot in our year to be able to do something that's so productive and student driven. I wanted to introduce Mia Zachos. She's currently a 7th grader at Easton Middle School. We'll be doing the presentation. We currently have 9 members of the Easton 84. There's a cheerleading tryout tonight and a couple other sports going on. So tonight it's just Mia who will be doing the presentations, but you will see some of our other members. I wanted to give a shout out to them. Their names are Rosie Sedita, grade 6, Autumn Gregory, grade 6, Isis Labadie, grade 6, Ava Labrie, grade 6, and Adriana Pedro Palm, grade 6, and Marina Ferrara, grade 6. We also have several boys who joined us yesterday. So I'm going to make their names are Riker Anderson and Preston Josephs. And they like the snacks, but they are also committed to tobacco cessation as well. And they were thrilled to hear, and they were like, you do need more boys on this group. So they have promised to recruit for us. One of the reasons, actually, I think the reason this first came about is Easton Middle School is one of the first middle schools to be a member of the 84 Coalition. Mia will touch base. I know everyone's going to want to know what the 84 means, but Mia will touch base on that. We invited to our health club the Greater Tobacco Prevention Agency. Mary Cole is the representative, and she was so impressed with our 6th graders last year. She invited us to be a charter member of the middle school 84. And then they were so impressed with Mia, they invited her to be an ambassador. So she is representing students statewide. She attends meetings 1 to 2 times a month, and they do trainings about all types of substance abuse prevention. And Mia also is a member of the Easton Wings of Hope Youth Coalition, one of the younger members. So I'm going to turn it over to her. And I just need to say, I'm so proud of all of them. And even though last year it was such an odd year, our group rocked on with projects. So, all right, I'm going to turn it over to Mia.
Welcome, Mia.
Thank you so much for having me today, and I'm so excited to be on this meeting. So I'm not sure who's going to be presenting the slideshow on the screen.
I think, yep, Chrissy, yay! Not Mrs. Gardner, because Mrs. Gardner is a wonderful nurse, but not a good tech person.
I am so sorry. I already failed my first job tonight. I apologize.
Don't worry about it. Okay, awesome. Let's get started. So I would like to start us off with an introduction to the 84. The 84 is a statewide youth tobacco prevention movement in Massachusetts that promotes the involvement of youth in their community. The 84 represents the 84% of Massachusetts youth who did not smoke or use tobacco when the movement began. The 84 is a youth tobacco prevention program, not an anti-tobacco group. We respect the use of traditional tobacco, which is a part of indigenous culture and religion, and only target big tobacco or commercial tobacco. What is a chapter? The 84 consists of the staff, the statewide leadership team, the middle school ambassadors, and many individual chapters. Chapters are formed by schools and communities that all want to make a stand against the tobacco industry. Our chapter is Easton Middle School 84. Our agenda today. We are focusing on 3 parts of our development this year: accomplishments, current activities, and future initiatives. I'd like to start off by talking about our accomplishments. Rebuilding our chapter. Last year, most of our members were 8th graders and they departed from the middle school. This left us with a very small group. So One of our main goals this year was to rebuild our chapter, starting by recruiting new members. To achieve this, we sent flyers to every student in the middle school and participated in the morning announcements. So far, we have recruited 9 new 6th graders, and this was a huge step for us, and we're excited to continue growing. The resilience poster. So we created a bulletin board with a pair of wings with the caption, "Spread your wings and be resilient." The purpose of this board was to promote strength through struggles, especially the struggle of the pandemic. The location of this poster is across from the nurse's office in the main hallway in the school. It replaces a mask safety poster, and it will be visible to all students. Current activities. 6th grade presentations and activities. So we have been visiting 6th grade focus classes to spread awareness on the harms of nicotine. We created an interactive Pear Deck presentation, which I'll give you guys a quick preview to later. And we made it to present to the 6th graders. It was actually made last year by a few of our old members who are now in the middle school. We have purchased a Clever Catch ball for the event. So basically, it's a fun activity where it's a ball covered in facts and questions, and the students will pass it around and read the fact or question under their thumb. And we enjoy doing it ourselves during our meetings, and we hope that the students enjoy that activity too. And we will also be distributing tobacco awareness bracelets. The goal of this is to spread awareness to the young school students and inform them of the harms and the dangers of vaping and smoking.
Mia, would you like me to click on the Pear Deck presentation there?
We can do that after we finish the slideshow, please.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Our strategies. We use 2 main strategies whenever we educate. The first strategy we use is the upstream approach. The upstream approach focuses on teaching the youth, and it shows them the consequences before they're faced with the challenge of drugs. The upstream approach also includes being proactive and addressing issues before they arise in the community. And then we also use positive norms. So positive norms includes using positive statistics and encouraging change by identifying the bright side in a situation. Positive norms also uplifts the community. So I told you guys about the statistic, the 84% of Massachusetts youth who did not use tobacco. They did not focus on the 16% of the youth that did, but the 84% that didn't. And we like to use those same type of statistics whenever we teach. Future initiatives. Frothingham Park Children's Races. We are planning to attend Frothingham Park Children's Races, where each summer children of all ages in Easton enjoy participating. So participating children are given ribbons.
Mia? I can't hear your voice. I'm not sure if that's just my,
Can you hear me now?
yes. there you
Okay,
go.
awesome. Thank you. So we intend to participate as a vendor, handing out water bottles, bracelets, and information to introduce the community to the 84. Did you guys hear the part before that?
I think you might want to do this whole slide.
Okay, awesome. Sorry.
No problem.
Frothingham Park Children's Races are where each summer children of all ages in Easton enjoy races, and participating children are given ribbons and popsicles after completing a race. This local gathering is well attended and much loved by the community, and I told you how we are planning on participating as a vendor. And Dr. Cabral has already mentioned this, but we have had Superintendent and Senator Temmelty meetings. So the 84 has had several meetings with Dr. Cabral and the Superintendent's Council, along with one amazing meeting with Senator Temmelty. So because of that, Senator Temmelty has invited the EMS 84 and the Easton Wings of Hope Youth Coalition to the State House to give us a personal tour. And we're so excited to go and really appreciate Senator Temmelty's invitation. Thank you so much for listening. Mrs. Pruitt, would you mind going back on the slides to the Pear Deck? Awesome. So like I said, this is an interactive slideshow. So there's 18 questions. And even on this slide, you can see how the students will be able to write their own response on their own Chromebooks. We've really loved,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I can't see it. Can you see this?
We
Yeah.
can,
You can see the pear deck?
yes.
Okay, thanks.
so even on this slide, you can see that students will be able to write their own response, and we have other interactive slides where students will be able to draw, circle, and write responses answering the questions that we asked on the slides. So this is an 18-slide presentation, and I'm pretty sure the sixth graders have already presented this slideshow to 2 focus classes. Also, on June 1st, we're planning on going to the not elementary school, to Richardson Olmsted to present this to one of those classes, and we're really excited to go. And we love how we're kind of spreading this from the RO to the middle school.
Do you want me to keep scrolling down, Mia?
No, I think that's good. Thank you so much for
Okay.
doing that.
Absolutely.
If you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you, Mia. Once again, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Or comments? I can't see everybody.
Mrs. DeLuca.
Caroline,
Caroline, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but Mia, I just want to say that I'm absolutely in awe of your presentation skills. If I only were that good, I'd be really happy. So thank you so much for your involvement in this. And it sounds like it's spreading like wildfire, which is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Nancy?
Yes, thank you, Mia, and also Mrs. Gardner, thank you very much for what you do. This is awesome. I love the positivity about the 84. I think that's great. And one of my questions is, Mrs. Gardner or Mia, are you accepting donations?
Absolutely.
So just send them to you at the middle school, or?
Yep, and you can, we have an account, it's the Easton 84, and the girls actually had a grant and we are whittling through it, so that would be great. And we use it for snacks for the group, but also we use it for their materials, like for the bracelets. They have, they have a t-shirt design, and so that would be great. And I just wanted to bring up the whole reason, like, we got hooked up to this, the 84 project, through the data that we gained through the survey, and also through working with Easton Wings of Hope. Like, I wouldn't have met Mary Cole if it hadn't been through Easton Wings of Hope bringing us into the fold. And they also are very supportive and always include us in their trainings when they have them. And right now, the middle school students are collaborating with the high school students. One of our students at the high school 84 is Ava Vieira. She actually developed the peer deck, but then the pandemic happened and we weren't able to present it. But there's a lot of there's a transformation from middle school to high school that we're seeing. And myself and Mrs. McCarthy, Lisa St. Mary, and Danielle Erickson tried to make sure that it happens. One of us is there when the students does the presentation, just in case a question comes up that somebody needs answered, but it's been very well received. And I just I can't thank you enough for supporting activities like this, such as the collaboration with Easton Wings of Hope, and also with like the youth survey. And oh, Mia, why don't you tell them, the girls came up with a new slogan, because based on our data at EMS, it's 84 is a very old number. So we have a new saying. Do you want to tell them what it is, Mia?
Sure. So we came up with the slogan 97 is the new 84, based off of our new numbers, and we love it because people are going to ask, like, oh, what does that mean? Where does this 97 number come from? We'll be able to tell them. And for us also, it's a eye-opening statistic about how much change we made over this period of time.
97 is the new 84.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyone
So
else?
I think next, Kelly is going to introduce the Oliver Ames group, and they have an amazing presentation as well. And
Great.
the CADCA, the community, they'll go over the acronyms, but that I attended that conference sponsored by Easton Wings of Hope 3 years ago, and with Mrs. McCarthy, and it was amazing. That is one of the things I received a lot of training and a lot of ideas to be able to engage middle school youth. So I'm really excited for you to hear that because we're really getting a lot of momentum.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And the equally wonderful Kelly Reed, I will now turn it over to you and these stellar OA students.
Thank you. I wanted to start off by saying great job, Mia. I told Mia at the meeting the other night that she has better presentation skills than I do, and I have a degree. So, and then I just wanted to thank you all because, you know, back in, I believe it was December or January, we were on a time crunch. We really wanted to send 5 kids from OA to the CADCA National Forum. CADCA stands for Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. And, you know, due to your support, we were able to do that. And we have developed a growing and thriving student coalition since that. Our students have gone above and beyond, you know, my expectations and the coalition's expectations, and really just they have, you know, shown to they've made such a difference on social media by growing our audience and brought so many friends. In our last coalition meeting, we were running out of space and we needed to bring in more chairs. And our next one is coming up on May 31st. And they're already telling me about all these new kids that are going to be coming. And I'm like stressing, trying to find a place where we're going to have enough room.
Great problem to have. We'll get you as many chairs and tables and rooms as you need.
My favorite problem to have. So
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you guys, and then also, you know, thank our students because they really are doing some great work here. And I'm gonna, you know, I'm not gonna take their spotlight. I'll let them talk a little bit more about it. So on this call, we have Mireille Niemer, Janelle Mello, and Cassie Pashis. And they're going to be talking about some of the work that we've been doing. But, you know, as Mrs. Gardner pointed out, I also wanted to give a shout out to our other students who have really been involved in you know, growing the coalition. Owen Parker, we have Joyce Riyad, we also have Daniel Lindhairs, and if I'm pronouncing last names wrong, I am so sorry. And then, as you know, Corinne McCarthy and Lisa St. Mary have just been instrumental in, you know, making this coalition grow and thrive. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Mireille and Cassie to talk a little bit more about our trip to CADCA.
Do we have someone pulling up our slideshow?
I'm on it.
Thank you.
I believe, yeah.
Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Great.
So as Kelly introduces, I'm Cassie Pashis. I'm a junior at OA, and that's
I'm Mireille Nimmer, and I'm also a junior at OA.
so with Easton Wings of Hope Youth Coalition, we've been really striving to take, you know, what was already like a well-established organization in the community and bring it more to target the issues that we see with the youth, especially in our school, and the substance use problems. And a lot of what we focus on is prevention. As Mia talked about, actually, with the 84 is that upstream approach. So a lot of what we're trying to do at the high school especially is show kids that they're not alone in choosing not to vape, in choosing not to abuse substances, and that they have a support system with Easton Wings of Hope.
And then just to elaborate a little more on CADCA, the organization that kind of put together the conference that we attended. So as Kelly mentioned, CADCA stands for the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. And basically what the conference was it was a bunch of kids who have the same cause as us, prevention in their communities from all over the country. And not only was it amazing to have this immersive experience in which we kind of experience that feeling of community, where we can encounter other kids our age that were as involved in the causes we are, but also we had the opportunity to attend several different training sessions spanning a wide array of topics that we could bring back to our community and teach to our peers.
So on the next slide, you'll see just a picture of all of us at CADCA. As Mirai said, we attended our own sessions. Some of these included one with a Harvard student on research and how to get data in the community, which is very imperative, especially with some of the surveys that Easton Wings of Hope has done in the past that we've used for a lot of our data research, which is definitely necessary. We had informative meetings. We had large group meetings from previous White House drug czars, which was very informative. And we also had one on marijuana 101, which was really important to us, seeing how the toxin levels in marijuana is getting a lot higher, and with synthetic marijuana as well. And this is something that we've seen directly in our schools. So taking those sessions where we were learning that information and bringing it back here where we can apply it to the issues that we see going on was very beneficial.
So what we did on Capitol Hill Day, so we met virtually with Representative Jake Auchincloss. We explored Capitol Hill, and later in the day, we actually had the opportunity to meet virtually with other Massachusetts coalitions and come up with a plan not only of different policies that we'd like to bring up to these representatives and government officials, but also the thanking them for what they've done and showing them ways that they can implement other legislative efforts to see the change that we'd like. So we met with Senator Ed Markey, and talking to both these politicians, we were able to create a plan for a student coalition in Eastern Massachusetts that revolved around spreading awareness, but also restricting methods and modes of obtaining these sources and using this research and this data to better address the needs of our community with that involvement and what we bring back from the conference.
So now our coalition meets monthly, and an important thing, Kelly touched on this as well, is reaching out on social media and just engaging with more students about this. Before the trip to Washington, D.C., we had no idea about this group. And so now that we kind of have a starting point to reach out to kids and come to our meetings, our Instagram following has changed from a small amount of more adult aged people to a larger amount of teens. So we are seeing a great turnout on those like virtual advertisements of our meetings and of our plans coming up, and even just posts that reinforce like positive mental health awareness month, for example, so that kids are seeing more of these things on their feeds and seeing more positive preventative posts to reach out with that. And then some of our current projects. So a couple months ago, we had a meeting where we got to test out being under the influence replica goggles, essentially. And so this was a really informative activity to see how severe it is to be under the influence and go through essentially like a mini course where we were trying to avoid making mistakes and making a mess. And this was a great way that we got to pull some of our friends into it as well, because it's a fun activity from the outside perspective, and then once you're doing it, you realize how significant this really is in the lives of a lot of people in the community. And then our other main project is Take Back the Bathrooms. This is a campaign that we've been working on for quite a while now, and we actually put it into place on Monday and Tuesday in school. It was a huge success. And this was our campaign about how we see a lot of students vaping in the bathrooms. It's a really big problem that we've seen our school face, and there hasn't been a lot of support from the students to end this, even though we do know based on our data that the majority of students are not vaping, even though it seems like that. So we handed out pins, bracelets, phone wallets, chapsticks, that said "Take Back the Bathrooms" on them in Easton Wings of Hope. We made an informative poster. And all of this was really just to show kids that we can all come together and see that you're not alone, and that to make a positive change in our school community.
And just to elaborate on what Cassie was saying about our projects, another interesting way that we've been bringing back what we learned from the CADCA conference and applying them to our current projects is just observable through how many more students we've gotten involved. So originally it was really just the 5 of us that went on the trip, and we were the ones that were really all in on this. But every week or every month when we have a new meeting, we go around to people in our classes and we're able to spread the word, like, oh, I'm going to this meeting later, like, do you want to come? Kelly's been great about providing pizza. It's an excellent incentive. And just to elaborate more on Take Back the Bathrooms, we've seen massive success with people choosing to wear the pins. And we've also implemented different kind of vessels for people who are addicted to vaping and addicted to these substances to kind of find a way to quit. And so we put up this message. It's like a little thing that we hung up on the wall where people can put why they vape or why they don't vape. And a lot of people have responded to it saying, oh, like it helps me, like helps my thoughts go away, or they address different problems or identify different problems that we are able to kind of address, and then we're able to better kind of assimilate those needs into our approach. So we've seen great growth, and like Kelly said, we're only looking to see more, or expecting to see more in the future.
Awesome job, guys. Thank you. And another thing to mention is just that we have a mental health awareness event coming up on June 18th. It's going to be at Frothingham Park from 11 to 1, and that's going to be a great opportunity for just the community to come together. And then right now, see if you just want to, Mrs. Pruitt, if you want to just bring up that slide again, because we are going to go over the 84. Janelle's going to talk a little bit about it. But Ava Vieira oversees this in the high school. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it tonight, but I was just going to go over a little bit about what we did with the Festival of Trees back in the fall. And then I'm going to hand it over to Janelle to talk about the bulletin board that we did. So Ava and Kiera were working on this project. We also had 2 other students, Colleen and Avery. And that was kind of like the beginning of collaboration between Wings of Hope and OA students. And so we set up a time and the girls made ornaments that had like messages of hope on them. This was a really great activity because it kind of got our name out there while also spreading positivity. And it's just been amazing to watch, the work that these girls have done and how they've continued to be involved. And then I'm going to pass it now over to Janelle to talk a little bit more about some work that the 84 has been doing in the high school.
Hello, my name is Janelle Milo. I'm a junior from Oliver Ames High School. And if you want, you can actually go to the next slide, Mrs. Pruitt. Thank you. And that is a bulletin board that the 84 Club made over about 2 weeks that we put up in the middle of the school, right by the locker rooms, so the athletes could walk by and see it. And on it, it actually has reasons why people should vape and what they should not vape, and facts about it. Yeah, and there's the next slide if you can have a close-up of the bulletin board, actually. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, and it has ways people can reach out anonymously and get positive messages about why they should quit. And yeah, and that's our club. So thank you for your time.
And then I just want to quickly add to that, the Y is starting a new program called Let's Quit Together, which is a in-person vaping cessation program that's available to, the focus is on Easton students. So that's something that there's going to be more marketing within the schools for students to get access to. I know it's a program for 14 to 19-year-olds, so we're exploring more options. The American Lung Association sets up the program. So it is for that age range. So we're looking at options to reach the middle school. But that's something that we're going to be in the Wings of Hope Coalition has been pushing that at the Take Back the Bathrooms campaign, and just making that more known to students that, you know, there is a resource that's a supportive program that is available to them.
I
And
also wanted to, oh, sorry to cut you off.
that's okay. Go ahead. Mira.
I also wanted to include how we've kind of been reaching out to other sectors of the community outside the schools. We were involved in the Healthy Kids Day at the Y that had we had a table that had a lot of educational resources for parents in how to involve kids from an even younger age, like before elementary school. And so we think that by introducing these this awareness to the parents, not only were the parents able to obtain resources with which they could educate themselves on the different drugs that their kids are going to be exposed to inevitably, and the different messaging methods that companies use, so they're more aware themselves, but also different ways that they can transfer this knowledge to their kids according to their age in a way that's appropriate for them at that time, so that by the time they are a little bit older, or no matter what age they're approached with these challenges or with these offers to try different substances, they feel prepared, and the parents feel their kids are safe, and the kids feel that they are going to be able to respond to these instances when they occur.
Thank you, Mireille. I was going to comment on just how savvy this group is to really know their audience. The statistics that they use, of course, they're in our youth survey on a few topics, and that's very purposeful. What they've mentioned is how important it is for students to know who may or may not be involved. Peer pressure is real. It is universal, and it is timeless. It is part of our development. We are hyper-focused on what other people think of us. And the data that's being collected is, it gives firm numbers on what versus perceived reality. And so we don't want students to have the feeling like I'm the only one that doesn't participate in this behavior, or there are everybody's doing it. You know, we have teenagers often deal with superlatives a lot, and this helps them realize it's not everyone. There are a few people, and most people are very like-minded as you are, and that's very powerful information. So I was going to note just how impressive it is that they know their audience, and they know how to address them. But Mireille also added that they're also understanding the audience of parents, and that parents are looking for resources to help their kids, and parents are looking for ways to answer their questions. And what better way than from students who know what is meaningful to them, what is not meaningful to them, what might be impressionable, what might impress upon them. And so we are very thankful for the work that you're doing, not only for our students, but on behalf of our parents and our educators as well. So thank you all for your, again, wonderful presentation. I could see it 100 more times, and I will still learn something every time. And so I appreciate you accepting this invitation and presenting this to the school committee and really the community. I tell you now that this is being recorded and we have millions of watchers, so I didn't want to make you nervous before, but you did a phenomenal job as usual. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And the school committee may have questions, so I'm sure the chair, if you just wait a moment, we'll ask them if that's the case.
Any school committee comments, questions? Jen?
No questions, just wanted to congratulate you all on the work that you're doing and your amazing presentation skills. Michelle and I were lucky enough to see this presentation earlier in the week, and you've mastered in person, you've mastered virtual presentations, and I don't think I don't think I got a chance to say much on Monday, but I was really blown away. I have been talking about you guys to other people, or you ladies to other people all week. I'm just so impressed with the work that's being done and grateful. I know that it's a huge time commitment, even just presenting to us multiple times in a week, taking time out of your very busy schedules to connect with the community. We really appreciate all the work that you're doing, and just want you to really please keep up the good work. We're very proud of you.
Absolutely. Caroline?
First of all, I do want to say that Jen is not kidding. She has been promoting this group widely on social media. And so I was so excited to see that we were actually going to be able to see the presentation that she had seen earlier. Really outstanding job. I was just thinking though about your Take Back the Bathrooms initiative. I think this is so important. My kids were at OA a long time ago, and then the big issue was smoking in the bathrooms. And I know they put up smoke alarms and that was somewhat effective. But of course, with vaping, apparently that's not something that even is a measure that works. So I really hope that your campaign does work, because I can remember over the years so many students complaining about how unpleasant it was, the atmosphere in the bathrooms, but they really were not, they didn't feel comfortable kind of calling their peers out. So I know it sounds, I guess on some level, a little strange to focus on that, but I really have heard so much about the problems in the bathrooms over the years. So I really congratulate you on that initiative.
Thank you. And we, something that I think is really special about our approach to it is that a lot of times the way it's been approached is kind of an administrative way in which it's very, put smoke alarms in the bathrooms, we're going to try to catch you in the act. Whereas we're trying to make the people, not only the people who don't vape, kind of stand in solidarity with them and show them that they're not the only ones that aren't doing it, because there are times where it does feel like, you know, when you're not the only one in the bathroom who doesn't have a vape in your hand, it is really awkward in that moment. But also putting a lot of emphasis on the social and not viewing it as a problem that our administrators need to solve, but a problem that us as students need to solve. And we did actually get the opportunity to talk to a lot of people who did admit, like, yes, I vape, and you know, I'm looking for help. There was a girl who you know, helped her friend. She like positively peer pressured her friend into taking a pen, taking a picture of the QR code that we had on our board that would help her into the program that would help her quit. So thank you for kind of shedding light on how it's been a longer problem and how we're kind of finding different ways to address it that's different from what's been done over the years.
If I could just add, your approach actually is much more enlightened. I don't think necessarily with high school kids that top-down approach is that effective. So the fact that this is a peer-to-peer approach, I think is just fabulous. So thank you for your great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you guys for joining us. And it was, I learned much more this time than I did even on Monday. So I agree with Dr. Cabral. The more you hear it, the more you learn. And we appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Out-of-state trip. Looks like Center School to Roger Williams Zoo. Dr. Cabral?
Yes, of course, out-of-state field trips need to be voted on by this or approved by the school committee. So Center School Grade 1 is looking for approval to go to the Roger Williams Zoo in Providence. This is going to be about approximately 64 students and 6 staff members, and they plan to go on June 7th. The cost of the trip is $12 per student.
Any questions? All right. Can I get a motion to approve the out-of-state Center School Grade 1 trip to Roger Williams Zoo on June 7th?
O'Neill, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Star, second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, thank you. Have a good time. I love the zoo. All right, school council presentations with a vote to approve the K-2 schools and RO. Dr. Cabral?
Annually, each school presents the product of the school council, which outlines their school improvement goals for the coming year. We have for several years now been splitting this between two school committee meetings, presenting grades pre-K through 5 first and 6 through 12 excuse me, second. This evening we will see the presentation from the two schools in the pre-K through 5 range. Mr. Cedarbaum and Mr. Higgins are unable to join us this evening, so Ann Weintraub, principal of Center School, and teacher leader Stephanie San Pietro will be presenting the pre-K to 2 school improvement plan. Last year and this year, the councils have met together. Again, we've been working for a few years now on transitioning the staff to the idea of one school at pre-K to 2 for the Blanche Ames building, which will be opening in January. And so the staff has gotten together for professional development days. The school councils have gotten together. They've done a lot of work to blend those cultures as we prepare for this big transition. And so I am going to turn it over to Mrs. Weintraub, who is going to be assisted by Mrs. San Pietro, and in presenting the pre-K to 2 school improvement plan for next year. Mrs. Weintraub. Great first slide, and I'm actually glad we're getting a couple minutes to take a look at it because it's so visual and great. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to present from here. I was just unmuting. So you can see my slide, but I can't, is that correct?
Yes, we can also see the slides on the side. It's not in presentation mode.
Yeah, there you go. Just hit slideshow. There you go.
Is that better?
Perfect, thank
Yes.
you.
Excellent. So thank you. And I'd like to thank whoever put me behind those high school kids presenting. They're better than me after all these years. So impressive, but I did have 2 of them in kindergarten. I'd like to tell you, it all goes back to their foundation. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to share the work that we're doing in our schools. As you know, we're at a very exciting time heading into our new school building. Before I jump into our goals, review our goals and our goals for the upcoming year, I did just want to begin with a moment to recognize the incredible dedication and stamina of our teachers. We began this school year hopeful that we were going to be back to normal after a summer of no masks, and it looked like life was going back to normal. And believe me, it has not been normal. In fact, most educators, I think, would say that this was the most difficult year of the pandemic years. And the reason that we're still standing and up and functioning is the dedication and perseverance of our teachers and staff. And I just think it's important for us to acknowledge that and thank them as often as possible, because we cannot wait for this school year to finish it out strong. But it really has been the teachers and the people on the front lines of being in the classroom with the kids who we need to be thanking. So as I said, we're heading into the Blanche Ames schools. So exciting. Everyone in town is seeing the physical structure being built. Some of us have been lucky enough to tour the school already. The excitement is palpable. There's no doubt that we are incredibly lucky to have that facility for our town and our youngest learners. The work that we have been focusing on is the people part of it, bringing our staffs together, aligning curriculum and procedures, allaying fears and anxieties of teachers and staff, and just trying to get everything in order to make that transition smooth. So I'm going to share with you a review of our goals from last year, and then move on to our goals for next year. And you'll notice the theme is all about transitioning to Blanche Ames. So the first goal we had last year was we always have a combined theme, and our theme was unity, to unite our 3 buildings in the preparation for opening of the Blanche A. Ames Elementary School. We had planned to work on operational procedures, protocols to ensure the building runs smoothly. We also work to develop, build, and strengthen the culture and climate of our new school. We have a transition team in place, which consists of volunteer representatives from the 3 schools, including administrators, grade level teachers, special subject teachers, learning specialists, related service providers, paraprofessionals, custodians. We're trying to consider everyone's perspective. The team has met regularly this year. One of the big things we've done is to create subcommittees so smaller groups can work and focus on particular areas of need. The first subcommittee of the 4 is, we called it What Do We Stand For? Talking about being able to articulate our school mission and vision, and how will we in an age appropriate way be able to communicate that and live it. The second committee is Culture and Climate, really developed to support our staff through this transition. So we've brainstormed ways to bring staff together in a positive way. We started the school year with a combined staff meeting. We held it outside at Parkview to be able to see the actual building being built, to get us excited about it. We had team building activities, we had a raffle and snack, and just time to socialize and be together. Again, making people familiar with each other, familiar with the different leadership from schools. A lot of us know each other, but a lot of us don't. And it's important, we felt this year was important to start building those relationships. We continue to do that. Our PACs have been incredibly supportive of helping us with the transition. They recently sponsored a Red Sox night that a big group of us, about 35 of us, went to a Red Sox game on Teacher Appreciation Night. You know, people from each of our schools. We had a cookie decorating workshop the other night in the Parkview cafeteria. Again, staff from all 3 schools, just to be together, get to know each other. Right now, we're working on organizing tours of the Ames Mansion at Borderland. I know our management administrative team had a great tour of it, and also just the history, to understand the history of the Blanche Ames, as it is the namesake of our new school. The next committee we call Building Beginnings. This group has focused on the traditions that each of our individual schools may have in terms of enrichment, field trips, special days. And we gathered the current reality, what goes on at our individual schools. We combined it together and have discussed and reviewed each of those things and talked about what do we want to move forward and bring with us to Blanche Ames, brainstormed ideas of things that we could create to be new traditions at the school, and how are we going to do those things. We also have a committee for, the 4th committee is PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. Each of our 3 buildings have, I'm sorry, I'm not clicking here. Each of our 3 buildings have established expected behaviors, procedures for recognizing students, and they're very similar, but they're not the same. So we recognize that we need to, prior to the next school year, bring those things together. Again, look at what works in our buildings, how can we combine those, and then create a system for Bland James. And our goal really is to start those in September in our 3 separate schools, so the kids become familiar with the language, the visuals, the recognition, how do we do morning announcements. So when they move to Bland James in the middle of the school year in January, those things will still be familiar to them. It won't be a shift to another way of doing things. As I mentioned, our PACs have been incredible. They've been meeting regularly as well, their leadership with the administrators, and they are also coordinating what things have PAC supported over the years, what things do we want to keep, what new things could we create, and how can they support this transition to the new school. Our second goal was meeting the social and emotional needs of our students by implementing the Second Steps program and using screening measures to provide support, to have the data to supply support. So teachers have continued this year to use Second Steps, which is a social emotional learning curriculum we recently adopted. Every classroom, again, creating this consistency through classrooms. So when we come together at Bland James, there's consistency. Has a daily morning meeting where these lessons are presented, skills are taught, and there's the opportunity to practice those skills, that explicit instruction. The curriculum provides a common vocabulary that our staff is able to use across settings during the school day, which is really important. So if we're speaking to children in the cafeteria, in the library, out at recess, in your classroom, in the hallway, we're all using that same vocabulary of the social emotional learning curriculum. We are using our universal screener, the DESI Mini. We administer that 3 times a year in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And then we take that data on children and we have grade level data meetings where we review the student data and we make decisions about what supports do kids need. What does that support look like? Can it be addressed in a tier 1 situation? Or would students benefit from tier 2 or tier 3 interventions? The data allows our counseling staff to reach out to families and offer support through sharing resources that are available. We've also this year had some parent workshops district-wide. We recently had Jessica Minahan, but our counselors and nurses have also worked really hard communicating through newsletters and regular sharing through social media and newsletters of resources that are available to support students socially and emotionally. Our third goal was a curriculum goal. We adopted 2 programs this year, Foundations and No Atom. Foundations is a phonics program that we successfully implemented from grades K to 3 during this school year. We had initial professional development provided for at grade levels during the spring of 2021. So teachers were ready, they had their materials, they had their training, they were ready to start the year implementing that program. Throughout the school year, we provided 5 different virtual trainings per grade level. They were spread out through the year. Each of the 5 modules were 45 minutes to an hour. And it provided teachers the opportunity to check in with the Foundations trainer and their colleagues as they taught the program. So they could ask questions about how things were going, challenges maybe they faced, successes they had that they could share with each other. So they were supported throughout the school year in that implementation. We haven't had the opportunity to analyze data in regard to how Foundations has impacted student performance because this is the first year. However, anecdotal data indicates it has had a significant improvement. Teacher feedback has been extremely positive, both in terms of using the program and what they see in their student progress. The No Atom program is, as you know, our science program, and that implementation was actually interrupted by the pandemic, and we had to delay its implementation just because it would have been too much for teachers. So therefore, we plan the review and relaunch at the start of this school year. So at the end of September, we had a relaunch session with the No Atom trainers to review again with teachers the program and how it would be implemented. We also had a group of teachers volunteer to participate in an in-depth No Atom PD. We called that group the Champs. They became our science leaders. We met monthly throughout the school year for 2 to 3 hour sessions. Teachers observed each other teaching science lessons, and then we would have a debriefing session about what the students were doing and the science learning and the science thinking. It was a great group and an excellent professional development, and we hope that cohort of teachers will then serve as resources to their colleagues, and also recruit a new cohort for next year. So with the adoption of these programs, teachers really need and ask for clear guidance on instructional expectations. So at the beginning of the school year, we provided a chart really with the expectations of each program in terms of what components of the programs were expected to be implemented, and to what degree, as well as a time allotment for each of those content areas. In terms of curriculum unit writing, which again has been definitely affected by our past few years with the pandemic, our curriculum leaders have adjusted our content unit writing timeline due to these program adoptions. So as we move on to this coming year, 22-23 goals, we continue obviously with the transition being our key focus. So our first goal is about that transition. So the transition team is creating procedures and protocols as well as developing and strengthening the culture and climate. We're focusing the work of those, we're continuing the focus work of the transition team. The PBIS model is really important for us to get up and running and be able to start in September with those things in place. We will continue to try to get the colleagues together from all 3 schools as much as possible so we can collaborate on the transition planning. And also to make sure we're including the larger school community, our PACs, our school councils, the YMCA, other schools on the campus. The opportunities are so great, as we all know, when we bring our schools all together on that campus. Our second goal is we actually pulled that PBIS out to be its own goal because it really is a big undertaking and needs to be done in a very timely manner. Right now, our BCBA Martin Carolyn has begun working with each of the schools to assess our current reality. Teams have met with him to go through the same assessment survey, and he has compiled and shared that data so we can compare our schools, where are we each at and where do we need to go. So in conjunction with the transition subcommittee working on PBIS, the team will develop school-wide behavioral expectations, student recognition procedures, and tiered levels of support. We plan to have common language, visuals, morning announcements, student recognition in place in our 3 buildings in September. So like I said, that will be a huge piece for our students to have in place when they physically make the transition, but all those visuals will be the same in the hallways of Blanche Ames, and the morning announcements will sound the same. The recognition will be the same. We feel like that will be great for everyone. The counseling staff is working together to streamline our counseling service, including our SIT referral process for social emotional learning, our data analysis, including progress monitor and tiered levels of support, defining those tiers really clearly, that all 3 schools are doing those things in the same procedure with the same criteria for entrance needing interventions and also exiting interventions. So again, when we come together, those processes are all in place for students and staff. And our third goal, curriculum wise, is we are in the process of adopting a new literacy program, which is crucial. That we do have a literacy adoption committee that was formed this spring to begin the process of identifying the new literacy program for grades K through 6. The committee consists of grade level classroom teachers, reading specialists, literacy coaches, learning specialists, the EL teacher, principals, and the assistant superintendent. The committee members have been participating in professional development focused on current research of best practices for literacy instruction, specifically the science of reading. The committee is currently in the process of meeting with various program publishers to determine which programs will be piloted beginning in the fall of 22. Pilot teachers are being identified at each grade level and will be trained and supported throughout the piloting process. With the feedback from the pilot, a program will be chosen by the Literacy Adoption Committee. Staff will be trained in the new program for full implementation in fall of 23. And then we will provide ongoing training and implementation support throughout the school year. The curriculum leadership team, as I said, we've adjusted the unit writing timeline and the completion of ELA units we put on pause because we know when we get this new program, it's going to become our primary resource for these units. And those are our goals. Does anybody have any questions?
Any school committee questions, comments? Jackie?
Thank you, Mrs. Weintraub. You've certainly been busy. It's a really interesting presentation. I just wanted to thank you and Mr. Cedarbaum and Mr. Higgins for all the efforts you have put into with the transition team and to get your staff to get to know each other. I know a number of them went through the new building. I'm sure they're all excited about the new building, but I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety that goes along with it too. So thank you so much for all the efforts to kind of make things a little more easy for the staff to go into the new building.
You're welcome. And I did want to say that we did bring the transition team through the building a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome to see all of them and how excited everybody is to get in there and see what it's going to be like.
Any other questions or comments? I actually want to give a shout out to your graphic designer, Abe. Abe
Yes.
is the graphic designer and does all our promotional stuff on the high school robotics team. And it's funny because we call the younger siblings of team members Tiger Cubs.
Oh.
So it was cute. I was really excited to see that he had designed the new graphic. I think that's adorable.
And he did an amazing job in the process. So it really was, a working client and the transition team would look at its different iterations. We give feedback. He would make the changes. We got them back. He'd give feedback. We weren't an easy group. We had a lot of changes and things. And what a great worker and the product everyone is thrilled with. Everyone is thrilled.
Very professional. And
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed the background behind the cub has the 4 different colors, and those correspond with the 4 different themes that are being used for identifying the wings for each grade level for students, the wayfinding. And so he coordinated that very nicely so that all 4 themes are incorporated into it, as well as the very cute tiger cub.
Awesome. Thank you. Caroline?
I just want to say it was a great presentation, Anne, and I hear that you're all excited, and I'm really excited myself, and especially for all the little ones. I just think it's going to be such a wonderful environment for them. And I know that's largely due to you and the other principals' input and efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy?
Yes, thanks, Ian. Nice presentation. I want to thank you. Yes, we're excited about going into the new school, but you and the other principals but all the teachers, paras, nurses, custodians, this last year and a half or however long it's been, crazy. You guys are awesome, and the kids are still thriving even in this pandemic era. And I just want to thank you, and the presentation's great, and I love your goals.
Thanks, Nancy.
Anyone else? Jen?
I'll be fast. Ditto everything. Great job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne and Stephanie, for joining us tonight and sharing the vision for where you've been and where you're going. We're really excited.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys. So next we have the presentation for Richardson Olmsted School. And so principal,
Did they vote to approve it?
Oh,
do you want to vote now before we go to the next
one
one?
at a time? We can certainly do that.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the Easton Pre-K to 2 elementary schools school improvement plan?
So move to Luca.
Can I get a second?
O'Neill
Wiseman,
second.
second.
All right, roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Dar, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, now to RO.
Our intermediate school is being represented by the administration, Mr. Getchell, principal, and Mr. Aries, assistant principal. Please feel free to take it away, Mr. Getchell.
Hello, everybody. Nice to join you this evening. I'm Chris Getchell, principal of Richardson Olmsted School, and my partner is joining us as well, Mr. Aries, assistant principal, and it's his birthday today. And he can't think of a better way to spend his birthday night than this.
Happy birthday, Mr. Aries.
He is.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right, so I'll take it away. This is the Richardson Olmsted School Improvement Plan. I will try to be brief as we go through our goals moving forward. So next slide. Here we are, our brand spanking new logo. We are joining the Tiger team here in the Easton Public Schools. So we are now the RO Tigers with the addition of Blanche Ames, and looking forward and working with our cabinet. We are so excited about this unification of the district in name and school and being on one campus. I think, certainly our community and our country needs more unification these days. So this is great to be able to do this. And so the RO Tigers, our logo was designed by our spirit team that we created here. This was all we all designed this ourselves. We now have our logo down there, grow proud strong, because every day at RO we grow. We talk a lot about growth and getting better every day and learning from our mistakes and growing from them. We work really hard at having our actions and our words make ourselves proud, our families proud, our community proud. And together, when we work together, we are stronger. So grow proud strong is the new mantra at RO. So we are excited about that. And I want to thank our school council members. We met throughout this year. We have Amy Cormier, Rita Pastore, Kristen Maffeo, Heidi Stern as esteemed staff members on our school council. Jill Hunt was our community rep. Amy Kirkaldi, Denise Bridey are our parent reps. And Mr. Aries and I were among the school council. These people worked really hard. This plan is not something that just we wrote in isolation. This has been vetted through our faculty throughout the year. So we thank everybody for all their work on this. So goals moving forward, just in the sake of brevity and saving some time, when I really thought about our goals from last year and our goals this year moving forward, there's a lot of similarities. So our first goal is really around to enhance our existing multi-tiered systems of support model, which is a fancy way of saying how we do school at RO. And specifically next year, creating what we call a win block, what I need. This is something that is in existence in other elementary schools around the state. And the idea behind creating this win block, it's a half hour a day where a grade level has almost exclusively small group or individualized instruction every day. Every student gets what they need. So this involves scheduling, and unlike the middle school and the high school, we have a little bit more flexibility because of course we're not in a block schedule system. So it's a little easier done than I know the tremendous effort that the middle school went through for their focus block and the high school as well. The idea behind a win block is to designate this half hour of what I need time to mostly protect what we call tier 1 instruction, which is the core ELA math instruction that all kids get within the mainstream classroom every day. We pride ourselves on inclusivity and inclusive classrooms. We know based on research and our own experience that kids learn best in the regular ed classroom. Kids of all readiness levels learn best when they are included in that environment and when appropriate accommodations and modifications are given to all kids. So, we want to designate protected time where all kids get their grade level standards in ELA and math every day versus, having interventions or small group time or pullout time happen during this core instruction. So this win block will really help us preserve times like reading a math intervention or pull out times for special services to this 30-minute period to protect, again, that tier 1 time. So it would also include, we are fortunate enough to have 4 reading and 4 math interventionists who are certified teachers working in our school every day, providing interventions to students that need to close gaps in core instructional areas. So during the win time, all 8 of those interventionists will descend on a grade level at the same time. So they will be having, targeted small group time, but students receiving special services will also receive specialized instruction during that time, but all students, even students that may need a challenge in a certain standard or maybe has shown that they've, are independent and mastered a grade level standard, will be able to maybe meet with a teacher or work in a small group to extend their learning more. So really it's a time when all students get what I need. So we're actively working on this scheduling right now. We know that it's really hard to change a schedule of a school in October or November or December during the school year. So it's our intent to have these schedules to teachers by the end of this year, so teachers can already be prepared to start the year with this win block in place. So next slide, Chrissy, just a couple of data points around how we do school with our multi-tiered systems of support. Another way we provide maximum support to all students in our balanced classrooms is limiting the amount of classrooms that our special ed teachers push into. We try to provide consistent service to all kids every day. And when a special ed teacher has to push into 4, 5, 6 classrooms a day, they're not in those classrooms for very long, and it jeopardizes consistency in service, which we know is the thing that is effective. So at our school, we assign our special ed teachers to 2 classrooms, and we really develop that team approach between the regular ed teacher and the special ed teacher throughout the year. So that our special ed teachers work with the same 2 teachers in the same 2 classrooms all year long. And we've been taking data on this approach and this support to see its effectiveness over the last couple of years. And This is some data from this past September to January using our STAR assessment and reading. And we looked at the students in these, what we call co-taught classrooms. And you can see, one of the key data points we look at RO is student growth percentage. And we consider student growth at 40, SGP number at 40, between 40 and 60 to be really strong growth. Anything above 60 is growing over a year at a time. And you can see by the statistics we gathered this past fall that students in these co-taught environments, their growth is really strong. So in grade 3, 60% of students in this environment had student growth scores on the STAR reading at 40 or above. And in 4th grade, it was 75%, in 5th grade, 70. And looking at math in these co-taught classrooms, 44% of students in grade 3 had growth scores of 40 above, 90% in grade 4, and 73% in grade 5. So when we are learning that when special ed and regular ed become equals and work together every day in classrooms and limiting pullout and disjointedness, we're getting effective results. So it's encouraging. Next slide, Chrissy. I'll just quickly go through a couple more data points that support. This is some data we collected on the effectiveness of intervention. We talked about those interventionists earlier. Again, looking at growth in student growth percentile. You can see that this was from fall to winter in reading. This data on the bottom 3 is just our students that we identified for intervention in grades 3, 4, and 5. And you can see that their average growth score was above 60, which is really strong growth for kids getting these intervention services. So next slide, Chrissy. If we look at math, again,
Chris, if I can I'm sorry to interrupt, just to clarify, or not clarify, but just to add to for the committee, the statistics show that if your growth is above 60, you're actually between 40 and 60, you're actually closing the gap. You're on a trajectory to meet target. If you're above 60, that gap closes even faster. So the ideal is 40 to 60 in that range of growth. But the fact that these are above 60 is showing that the gap is closing at a faster pace.
Yeah. So if you look at, thank you, Christy, I appreciate that interjection. If you look at grade 4 math, for example, I mean, you can see that there are 43 students that were identified for math intervention from fall to winter. So the average growth score of those 43 students was 68, significant growth. So we know that intervention works. Intervention works even stronger if it's in addition to their tier 1 support. So by creating this win block and scheduling time beyond the core math instruction, beyond the core reading instruction for intervention, we are confident that our students that are struggling, and after 2 years of pandemic, guess what? A lot of kids are struggling. We are looking for ways and systems that will expedite our student growth over the next couple of years, while not, lowering standards at a grade level. So we're encouraged by the data, and we're encouraged by the idea of a win block for next year. So thanks, Chrissy. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Mr. Aries, to talk about our continual positive behavior support model at our school.
Thank you, Mr. Getchell. So here is our SEL health and wellness bucket, just to touch upon some of our current initiatives, things we've talked about in this setting at past school committee meetings and in other improvement plans. We have our RO Constitution that I really feel is the backbone of so much of this. We continue to build that from the student level, taking everyone's input, combining it, wordsmithing it into a really powerful document that we bring to life throughout the year. This year, we added in Proud Paws in a Proud Paw raffle. So students, when they're meeting our RO Constitution, can earn a Proud Paws when recognized by an adult. Those Proud Paws are proudly displayed outside of their classrooms. We collect them at the end of the month and we raffle off various prizes. Classrooms overall as well can earn a Proud Paw. For example, if they're following our expectations, leaving the cafeteria, showing, calm, safe bodies. The classroom could earn a proud paw, display it outside their room. We do a raffle at the end of the month. Fun things like, sports time with Mr. Aries or a nature walk with Mr. Getchell. So that's been a lot of fun this year. Through the PBIS team, we've updated our tiered response to behavior document just to help bring consistency among our 33 classrooms in terms of how we work with students, address behavior, and create those learning opportunities. We have updated our Citizens of the Month program, where students are now voting for their classmates and really providing them direct feedback on why they're voting for them as our Citizen of the Month. We have a mentoring program we're really proud of, where classroom teachers nominate students who they feel needs an extra adult relationship throughout the year. So our staff who already have completely full plates find a little bit more room in their day, and they volunteer to take on a mentee, build a relationship throughout the year. They meet maybe quick check-ins a couple times a week, or maybe a longer session during the week. They go play basketball, they play checkers, just build that positive relationship, celebrate their successes with them, help them through their low points in their day. It's been a real success for us. We're really proud of that. And similar to the K-2 level, we have our Second Step program and Decimini data that we're continuing to collect and use to help make decisions about groupings and SEL support. So all of that weaves into our goal here in the school improvement plan, which is really around rebranding, enhancing our school spirit, and an office referral form, and a new playground project, which I'll talk a little bit about. But for start, you saw our new logo, Grow Proud Strong. We're excited next year to bring that to life in our school. So lots of different ideas will develop through the school spirit committee, but certainly we want to get a mural going so it's really proudly displayed in our building, and use that logo, weave it into the RO Constitution, work with the OA Art Department on that mural, like I said, and then the spirit gear too. We can really start to that rebranding piece, rebrand our school, use the spirit gear as part of these Proud Paw raffles, like I talked about a minute ago. So those are the first 3 action steps in the school improvement plan. A little bit aside from that, an office referral form the PBIS team felt was needed to help us gather data on how we're doing in terms of when students are referred for disciplinary reasons. And it really connects with the tiered behavior response document that we created this year. So really our goal with this form, which we developed and we're piloting now and look to put in place in the fall, will first of all help communication between classroom teacher or learning specialist, any adult who has a behavior issue they want to refer to administration. It's just going to help streamline that communication. It will also allow us to track data from month to month, year to year. It's hard to remember certain student interaction issues that happen. So if something happens in 3rd grade and we think something similar happened in 4th, we'll have that paper trail to help see what the issues were and how we handled it, how we created that learning opportunity. As Mr. Getchell will talk about in the next goal, it's also going to give us a lot of good data to look at what populations are being referred in terms of having disciplinary issues. So are we really heavy on special ed students being referred? Are we really heavy on a certain underrepresented group, male versus female? That's just going to be data that we're going to have the opportunity to look at, see what it looks like, and make plans for helping the students grow in those areas. So that's our 4th action step, with our 5th action step in this goal being our new school playground project. I know Mr. Getchell's been on talking to school committee about our hopes here with this project, but working with David Twombly and various contractors, we're looking to update our space there in the playground. As I think there are a couple pictures coming up in the next few slides. We have wonderful space in that area, but it is not used to what we feel is the best of its ability. We have no grass, like 3 blades of grass out there. It's a lot of concrete that's been worn over the years. Even the equipment which we have, which is nice, is starting to really wear and break down. And I know I was personally inspired looking at what Blanche James has planned for their playground project. So that inspired us to go down this road, and that with the action step of applying for CPA funding this school year, in hopes that we can make a plan for that new school playground project. So I think, Chrissy, the next couple slides are just some pictures of everything we went over. There are our citizens of the month. You can keep going, Chrissy. There's our Proud Paws, proudly displayed outside of some classrooms. And that is the building of our Constitution. That's, you know, us taking all the different comments from all the different rooms, trying to piece them all together. And on the right there is our Constitution for this year, displayed throughout our school on big posters. And there's our playground. Like I said, a lot of concrete crowded right up to the middle school, which we know they love. And I think the next one is, yep, again, this is the Richardson side over by OA. Great space out there. It's really, it's beautiful land, but that is completely worn down grass. It's all dirt. Bless the kids, they're just so great. They just love playing in any recess space, but we know we can do more with it. We do have some structures out there. So we did have a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout project, build structures. This is 9-ball, a very popular game, but it's broken down and not yet up and running for the students this year. I think the next one is a Gaga Pit, which is very, very popular. But again, they're playing on plain dirt out there. So we're looking to upgrade that space. And that wraps up goal 2.
Thanks, Mr. Aries. I just want to highlight what he said about our mentoring program, which is part of our SCL initiative. I mean, I know that school safety and security is on the forefront of everybody's mind, given recent tragedies that have happened throughout the country. You know, when we think of school safety, we of course think about physical safety, like locked doors and lockdown drills and certain protocols with, you know, the police and fire departments, all very important. But equally as important is relationships with kids and not letting kids fall through the cracks and go unnoticed. I feel like that is as equal when it comes to safety. And programs like our mentoring program, when we identify students through our teacher recommendations at risk, and we assign them to one of our many staff members, and these staff members take their lunchtime, their prep time, their after school time to connect with these kids, play games on a weekly basis. It's been phenomenal to see. I mean, it's just so, some students are just, they don't, you know, feel noticed throughout their whole day. And that mentoring program, to me, it means a lot, and it gives students who don't feel like they are being noticed some love and attention at school. I think that is just as important to school safety and security as locked doors. So I want to thank Brian for that. He's been behind that mentoring project since day one. Okay, moving on to our third goal, which is continuing to develop our DEI model, diversity, equity, inclusion practices at our school. Just a couple of highlights. We have revised our Heritage Day project. It's now called an RO Multicultural Exposition. It is actually happening right now at our school. We moved it, used to be in December around the holidays. It is now in the spring. And a couple of revisions we've made to the project. One is, you know, we think it's important that kids have choice in the culture that they represent. A lot of our kids are multicultural, so their culture might not be determined by one specific culture, but it's a wonderful project where we really show our diversity as a school. We are all from different backgrounds. We all have things that are unique to our families and in our background, and we celebrate that. And so we've ramped that project, and I have some pictures that are following slides to show you some of those things, and that could do better justice than my words. We also are looking to enhance our diverse peer mentor program. We've been working with RMK for the last couple of years, and we've had diverse peer mentors go into our classrooms and work with our kids and lead our kids. This year, we're up to 12 classrooms. I would like to bump that up to 16, which would be over half of our school by next year. I look to partner with OA, and traditionally our diverse mentors have been college students from local colleges, but I'd love to work with Oliver Ames to maybe bring high school students as peer mentors, diverse mentors as well to our school. We want to create an equity team at our school. I think it's so important to simply seek and listen to different people's perspectives. And you know, sometimes the family perspectives we hear are families who are able to attend things like PTA meetings, you know, in-school functions, and volunteer at schools. We know that not everybody's able to do that. And we want to make sure that we're hearing from all constituents at our school about their students' experience at our school. So we're hoping that by creating an equity team of staff, students, and families, the goal is simply to seek and listen to different perspectives. And I think we need to do a better job of that as a school. So we look to do that next year. We also are looking to continue to integrate our diverse literature book baskets that teachers throughout our district and our school work very hard to make, putting diverse literature in our classrooms. We want to integrate those book baskets into our ELA and social studies curriculum, so they are not an add-on extra, but they are part of our curriculum. We want to, particularly with less COVID restrictions, get back to our community meetings where we bring kids together and we talk about important SEL diversity topics. We know that we need to do a better job addressing words in terms of hate to our students that we've hesitated, frankly, to do in the past, worrying about the age of the students. But the fact is, our students are, through mostly social media and through the world we're living in, they are hearing words of hate in their lives, and they don't know the origins of them. They don't understand often why they are so harmful. We want to do a better job at addressing those in an age-appropriate way with our kids so they have a better understanding. And last year at RO, we hired 5 new staff members from minority communities. We are very proud of that. And we look to continue to hire highly qualified staff members from minority communities. Our staff is predominantly white female, and our school is not predominantly white female. So we want our staff to reflect who we are as a school. So we are going to continue to do what we can to do that. Okay, Chrissy, just a couple of quick pictures and then we'll wrap it up with questions. Just keep going, I'll go quickly. This is our diversity quilt to go along with our Multicultural Expo project. This is in our lobby right now. You can see every student created a square of this quilt, and this wraps around our lobby. So when you walk into our school, it's an immediate message that we are proud of our diversity. It is the one true thing we have in common. So go ahead, and we've got our diversity well on display throughout our school as you walk through. Keep going, Christy. One class of many cultures, another example of our multicultural project. Keep going. And I just wanted to do a shout out to, we had a very special dedication recently in our memory of what a student that just exemplified what it is to choose love and compassion, Lindley Menard. And we just recently dedicated our front circle to her in her memory. This past month was a beautiful ceremony. Next slide, Chrissy. And it was for the first time today, we had our whole school gather around that garden, around our flagpole. And we had a Memorial Day assembly where we talked about how important it is to thank all of those brave Americans in our past that have given their lives in service of our freedoms and the diversity that we have and cherish in our country. So it was really great today. This was today to bring our entire school together in a safe way around our flag, and it was a special day today. So, and it was special that it was around Lindley's garden. Okay, so that'll wrap it up. Thank you for staying with us. And if you have any questions, Brian and I will be happy to answer them.
Thanks. I just have a quick comment, and then I'm sure school committee members may have comments or questions. I just wanted to highlight two things. School committee, I know that you heard this and saw this just now, but I think it's important to recognize the continuation of the theme that we saw from our high school students earlier and our middle school students of positive reinforcement. And that's what the proud paws are. And that's very important to children developmentally, of course, but also that effort that we've had, part of our district strategic plan now that we have been focusing on, is really making sure that every student gets what they need. And so the win block or period is exactly that. It's not just remediation. It's not just feedback for students. It's also for extension and enrichment. And we have really, as I said, worked very hard to make sure that every student, no matter where they're at, gets what they need to extend their learning. And a student may need remediation in one area on one day, and on another day may need extension if they're especially proficient in a certain area. And so it's very tailored to individual student skills. And I would just also add, it may be intuitive why a playground or play structure would be on a social emotional learning slide, but I think it's important just to reinforce it's not just about wellness and about the social activities, but the playground, as we've learned, as Mr. Aries said, we learned from the Blanche Ames process, they're far more sophisticated now. We can even incorporate learning, fun learning into our playtime. We want to make sure that students are physically active when they can be, and that they have the opportunity to socialize positively. And recess, ask any educator, is the most unstructured time of the school day, which is a good thing in many respects, but it can also lead to the most challenges in terms of conflicts and sharing and so forth. And so if we can create a bit more structure out there where they can have their unstructured time, it just contributes to the social and emotional health of everyone. So I just wanted to make those couple of comments.
Thank you. I have a comment. I love the mentor program. That just, of everything you said tonight, that really struck home. I just think it's all about relationships. And there's nothing that happens in the classroom or in a school community until you've established those relationships with those students, and they feel they trust you, they feel respected, they feel valued, and they feel like a contributing member. And just kudos to you both for seeing the value in that and really making it such a big part of your plan. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Anyone else? Carolyn?
Michelle, you stole my thunder. I was also going to say that I'm just so impressed with No, I just did want to say also that I think the mentoring program is such a wonderful idea, and I hope that you're successful in expanding it, Chris. Anyway, and great presentation. Thank you.
Any other questions? Jackie?
Thank you, Mr. Getchell and Mr. Aries. There's a lot of information here as well. I really like the WIN block. I remember you talking about it, I think, last year. And I'm glad you're going to be able to implement it. I like that you're it's not just about intervention, which is of course very necessary, but for the kids that maybe need a little extra challenge as well. I like that you're kind of addressing the whole spectrum. I think that's great. I also love the mentoring program. I know your adjustment counselors work really hard with the kids, but I think maybe for the kids that aren't seeing an adjustment counselor, this is a really great way to kind of help them along, give them some extra attention, like you said, figure out if there's something that they need. It's really a great idea. I'm very excited about that. I also like that you're tracking the behaviors. to see if there are issues or patterns, because I think that is really important. There may be certain kids that are acting out, maybe that aren't in a special education program or aren't seeing adjustment counselor, that you don't know there's something going on. And by tracking these issues, you can really get an idea for who maybe needs a little extra support. So really, thank you so much for all your hard work. Really appreciate it.
Jen?
I'm daunted for you by how much you're taking on. The presentation really highlights the complexity of what you're dealing with in this age group. And I have so much appreciation and admiration for your willingness to basically recognize that this is all critically important work and it all needs attention now. So I really applaud the ambitiousness. I have confidence, having seen you work, that you will make progress towards these goals. But I'm really just struck by the depth and the breadth of the work that you have put together in this improvement plan. I did want to, I had one question about if we can go back to the model of assigning a SPED teacher to go into 2 classrooms instead of being kind of spread more thinly. How does that impact the percentage of students in those classrooms that are receiving or eligible for supports? Because I know years ago, there was an issue where special ed placements in inclusion classes were a little bit more limited. We weren't using like every classroom as an inclusion classroom. And so you might have had some teachers who were taking on 30-40% of their class were students who were receiving services. Is there a concern there, or do you feel like this model allows them, with having the concentration of the special ed teacher, it gives the support that's needed to handle a higher caseload if that does translate to a higher caseload in those classes?
Yeah, great question, Jen. I appreciate that. We say every room in our school is an inclusion room because it's not just students on IEPs that need specialized services. We have a large EL, a growing EL population. So some teachers may have, and we have one EL teacher. So, if we put an EL student and an English learner, a new English learner student, and spread them across then that makes it impossible for that one EL teacher to really provide the support that they need. So, we also have 3 specialized programs at our school: the skills program, the TLC program, the foundations program. We have a language-based program, and we have special ed inclusion. We have students that receive intervention. I mean, one of my pet peeves is just labeling kids. We label them with a certain tag. That's not all they are. I mean, every single kid is different, and every single kid on an IEP is different, and every single kid in the program is different. They don't fit into nice, neat boxes. And so I hear what you're saying. We certainly don't want to create imbalanced classrooms, and we work really hard with our staff and with their feedback to make sure that there's diversity in every classroom. There is also the law. We cannot exceed over 50% of students in the classroom on an IEP. We know that, and we are not doing that. But we're also making sure that all of our classrooms, every one of them, all 33 of them, have diversity in them in some capacity, and we do that. So I hope that answers your question. But at the same time, we have to maximize the capacity of our staff members. We want every staff member matters, every paraprofessional, every teacher. And if they're running around, throughout the day, we're diluting their effectiveness. And our kids need consistent services, no matter who they are, no matter what they're on. So that's really the priority here, is to maximize the capacity of every single staff member that works with our kids.
That's great, thank you. And that I think the approach that you have is like night and day in terms of the sophistication and the looking at all of those components versus what we may have been able to do. My kids are way older, so I'm going back, more than 10 years.
I remember your kids.
Yeah, I know you do. Well, you get the younger ones. So, but yeah, I just appreciate that it's and especially with all the specialized programs and the evolving needs of our students, that you are dealing with a lot of complexity in terms of staffing and schedules, and just appreciate all the work that you do to try to balance those needs and to get every student what they need. It's a big task, and I really appreciate the work that you and your whole team does towards that. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to emphasize what none of this is possible without our staff, without our teachers, like Ann said. I mean, this isn't just me, talking. We have high ambitions here at RO because we have a phenomenal staff. And if anybody that has sent their kids through here and have had the teachers that we have here know that. I mean, those people know that we have a phenomenal staff at RO, so we can be ambitious. Nancy?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the presentation, Mr. Aries and Mr. Getchell. And in fact, the sped issue is one of the ones I was going to ask about too. So can I get this straight? So you have 2-person teams. Is there a special ed teacher for every 2-person team? No.
No.
Okay.
We don't have that.
Everybody, you don't have that much. But everybody gets serviced on their IEP, like everything happens that's supposed to happen, correct?
Yes.
And then my other question was going to be, now that we're not out of COVID, I don't know that we ever will be, but there used to be a time when parent volunteers would come in or student volunteers would come in and like work with the kids in the hallway, like doing math facts or little bits of reading. Is that something that's still on the radar? I know you want to do this wind block, but I find, it just seems like kids are getting away from, even like printing and writing and facts. And I know that's all old school, but it's still important. And at grades 3, 4, and 5, it's so important.
Yeah. I'm old school too, Nancy. I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, yes, we're one-to-one. Our kids have laptops. Our kids are writing every day. Math facts are, definitely a foundational piece in terms of number sense. We are welcoming parents back right now. We've had field trips going on throughout the month. Parents have been highly involved. Tomorrow's field day for 3rd, 4th graders. We have lots of parents coming to that. And yes, absolutely. I promoted and organized parent volunteers coming into classrooms for years and helping with those, rote skills that kids need: repetition for sure. And I'm really looking forward to a less complicated time when parents can just come on in and volunteer in their kids' classroom.
Okay, and I'm just going to add one more thing that you were just talking about, but last week and this week, Mr. Ed Hands and I took different days with your 4th graders.
Yes.
And I just want to compliment you. Every single student, so respectful. It was great to teach about the history of the gardens behind the library and the Queeset House. And I think they had some great questions. And I just keep telling them we have so much history in Easton, and they were fantastic. So I want to compliment you, the 4th grade teachers, and especially the 4th grade students. They were great this week.
Thank you. And thank you and Mr. Hands for taking all the time you've done to educate our kids on this amazing town. That's been a hugely successful field trip, just simply walking downtown Easton, going to our beautiful library and learning more about the history of our town. So Nancy, thank you. And to Ed for taking the time to do that.
Thank you for your presentation.
All right. Any last questions, comments? All right. Can I get a motion to accept the Richardson Olmsted School Improvement Plan for 2022-2023?
So moved, DeLuca.
Can I get
Osmond, second?
All right, roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you, for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Yes.
Nice job.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Vote to approve the Alexia contract. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. Mrs. Pruitt is going to explain this contract. This is an incredible literacy tool that I used when I was a curriculum coordinator at the elementary grades quite some time ago, but it is very much up to date and very valuable. So I will let Mrs. Pruitt explain it to you.
Thank you so much. Lexia is a tool that we use at the actually K through 8, no, K through 5, K through 8, sorry about that, where we are, it's K through 5 is called the Core 5 reading program, and the middle school is called Power Up. That's why. So it's Lexia K through 8, but 2 separate programs which are developmentally appropriate for the grade spans that they are working with. So this tool is used as a supplement to our current reading program. It's also an extension, so it can be used as an intervention, it could be used for on-level work, and it can be used as an extension to challenge students. I want to point out so Lexia was brilliant during COVID when they shut down, when we had our shutdown, they actually provided free access to all children and staff. And this is, as you can see, it is a costly service, but with that program, which is, it is a virtual online platform, we actually saw the value in it, and we participated in a lot of the professional development that was being offered and saw our students really succeeding using this program. So we have committed to using this as well. It's something that we find very instrumental. I do want to point out to you that this is the first cost savings that you will begin to see with the combination of the 3 elementary schools. So what happens with Lexia, with this company, as well as other companies, they charge by school, not by enrollment or not by, so for example, Center School we were getting charged the same price for Center School as we were for Richardson Olmsted. So because we are moving to one school next year, that is one contract. So we are essentially saving $23,800 from what we've used in the past by combining our 3 elementary schools. So we are really excited to share that news with you. You will see that in some other contracts coming up, or actually some of them you may not actually see because they may not extend the price to share with school committee, but I will highlight some of those cost savings for you so that you are aware. But we're very pleased with that, and this is now before you for your approval.
Any questions? Nancy?
Yeah, it's not really about it's just about the spelling of Olmsted. Things like that drive me nuts. So please tell them to fix it. See where it says the 2 Core 5 unlimited site-based partnership in that paragraph, they put an A. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm only looking at the quote. I'm not looking at the contract. So
we find a lot of people do that, and
yes,
we are frustrated too. I know.
Or they just put Olmsted without Richardson. Yes.
Right. Or when even people from Easton spell Oaks Ames wrong, like Oaks Ames Hall wrong all the time. So it's like a pet peeve with me. Sorry, but I just wanted to bring that up. But
we will have that corrected. Thank you.
No one has a question.
I actually see it now. Yes.
I will make a motion to accept the Lexia contract.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
You're ahead of me. Overachiever.
Sorry.
Chrissy, maybe I'm remembering this wrong. I thought only Parkview was going in January to the new school.
No.
No, they're all going at the same time.
But we don't have to pay for 3 schools for the first half of the year?
It's only 3.5 months, and Chrissy did negotiate with them for that.
That's what I'm
Yes.
asking. Okay, that's awesome. All right, that's my only comment. I love Lexia. Anybody else? All right, Nancy,
I make a motion to accept the Lexia contract.
can I get a second?
Star second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
Luca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star yes.
All right, thank you. So discussion and possible vote on sub-nurse rate. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. During COVID, we obviously had a much higher rate of students in all of our nurses' offices. We also were required to create separate rooms for anyone that presented with COVID, who were examined separately. We needed a lot more support in terms of making sure that the nurse's office of every school was always staffed, but that if any student was in the separated room, I forgot the name of the room, examination room, excuse me, for COVID, they were kept separate. And so some of our smaller schools that only have one nurse, if there were students in that room, we needed to move people around. Even our larger schools, we have a lot of students that are presenting with some medical conditions that need attention when they need attention. For example, a student that is diabetic perhaps and needs to have their glucose checked or needs to have medication from the school nurse. And it is not always possible for a nurse to be in the examination room when a student presents with COVID, and they have to be supervised at all times. At any rate, for the myriad of reasons that we had a need for more medical assistance during COVID, we were able to hire nurses with the federal grant money that we used, which was possible for that purpose. Like every other role in the district, however, it was very difficult to find nurses. So our rates, as you can see, we were definitely proactive when it came to the sub rates, and we had you consider and you voted for the sub rates all the way up until 2023. But we're at a point that we were unable to find nurses who would come in and sub during COVID. I'm sure you're well aware that nurses in particular were given incredible bonuses to serve very bravely in our most critical units around the country during the various surges of COVID. And so it was very difficult, not only to get nurses, but certainly we couldn't compete with that rate of salary. Right now, we're still having trouble with substitute nurses. We are going to have 2 nurses in every school once we are at January, but certainly nurses get ill, nurses attend professional development, we do screenings periodically mandated by the state. And so we still do need substitutes, albeit not as much, we certainly hope. The point being that substitute current rate before COVID for 2023 was scheduled to be $140 a day. A substitute in 2023 is $105 a day and $125 a day for a long-term substitute. A nurse is scheduled to be $140 a day. We were not able to find any sub nurses during COVID for less than $210 a day, which is still significantly less than an RN can make in a hospital or a clinical setting. So we still have some grant funding, and we would like to keep the substitute rate for nurses at $210, at least for the foreseeable future while we have the grant funding. I can't tell you that that is sustainable in the long term. We will assess that every year, but we would like to have that continue. They will not be called quote unquote COVID nurses anymore. And so we will try to absorb as many of them as we can in the budget. And in order to do that, we need to change the substitute rate that you have approved prior, because that's coming from our operating budget for substitutes. Again, if we find that that line is running low from what we are projecting, we do have the grant funding to continue that. If it shows us longitudinally in the next 2 to 3 years that that is the case, then we will need to have a different kind of conversation. But for the foreseeable future, and certainly until we can be more confident in how we are living with and moving forward with COVID in our communities, we're making this request of you this evening.
Any comments, questions? Jackie?
I'm sure you've looked at this. What are other districts doing for sub-nurse rates? Is the 210 kind of around what they're doing, or is it still pretty low compared to what other districts are doing?
It's far more comparable to what other districts are doing. We feel comfortable with this rate, and we've been successful securing the nurses we need with this rate.
Anyone else? So this would be a year-to-year decision?
I would say until we run out of grant money. So I would say we should probably look at our data after 2 years in revisit. But certainly if we notice a drastic reduction, or we have the opportunity to, we may need to move our other sub rates because they're only set until 2023. So we'll collect that information and present it to you when we have a clearer picture of our needs going forward.
I'm struggling with this, I'll be honest with you. The substitute teachers, long-term subs, substitute nurses, I mean, everybody on this list is critical, but that's such a huge differential.
I just want to point out that one thing we're competing with is nurses being per diem at hospitals or facilities. That's why we are unable, we've had difficulty getting sub nurses because of where they can actually get paid at a much higher rate. So with substitute teachers, we're competing with districts, but with substitute nurses, we're competing with facilities.
It's a market rate, supply and demand issue for us right now.
Caroline?
Michelle, I certainly can't say that I studied this extensively, but I have seen a number of articles about the fact that these per diem nurses in hospitals are getting as much as $600-700 a day. So I think the 210, I actually was sitting here thinking that we'd do well to settle for 210, but that's just based on, that is of course due to COVID, and at this point, no one knows when the continuing spikes are going to stop, but and it could change in the future. But I would think for the interim, now that we have the grant funds, we really need to be competitive, or we're just not going to be able to attract the nurses that we need during what continues to be a very challenging time in healthcare.
And the grant will completely cover this, Lucia?
Well, we have a substitute line in our operational budget where we project, and we have created a larger projection for next year. But if we are off on the projection, if we have another surge, for example, or nurses become ill or what have you, there are many things that affect substitute rates. We do have grant funding that can absolutely supplement this, yes.
Jen?
How many hours is the workday for a substitute nurse?
It is the same as for staff. It's essentially 7 hours a day.
Okay, so it's $30 an hour roughly.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's well below market
Um,
hourly rate for nurses
nurses
right
are
now. So
getting-
yeah,
Nurses are getting offered $30 and $40 an hour over their regular rate to work right now.
yeah.
Extra hours, COVID wards, etc.
I do want to be clear. I don't think that $30 an hour is unreasonable. I just was looking at it compared to substitute teachers and long-term teachers. And that was where my struggle was, that differential. Not that I'm saying that their services and expertise is not worth 30 or more. I just want to be very clear with that. All right.
Kind of a supply and demand issue. I mean, that's kind of how capitalism works.
Right.
Not always a great system.
So you need us to just vote on that one line item, the substitute rate?
Yes, we already have a 2023 rate.
All right. So can I get a motion to accept the substitute nurses rate at 210 per day?
Star, so moved.
O'Neill second.
All right, roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Possible modifications to graduation setup. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. Mrs. Kavanaugh is here. Yes, is here. Mrs. Kavanaugh, the principal of Oliver Ames, would like to speak to you about graduation this year. As you know, it's going back to Frothingham Park, and she just wants to update you on some ideas that affect or have to do with your participation in graduation. Mrs. Kavanaugh?
Thank you very much. Thank you all for seeing me. I'm really looking forward to graduation this year at Frothingham Park, and so are our students. They're very excited. It's not so much as a modification, but looking for some feedback from you on your role in the staging of graduation and school committee. In an effort to try to make a more efficient process, but also thinking about the fact that we are still in the middle of a pandemic as we distribute diplomas. I want to propose to you for your feedback the consideration of having on the stage, this is a different practice than we've had in the past, have on the stage Dr. Cabral and the chair of the school committee, Ms. Durant, giving the diplomas out, and then having the additional school committee members, if you would like, to stand off the stage as students exit to congratulate them. And in order to reduce the number of handshakes and things like that that we do, but also the efficiency of the process. And then secondly, if you wanted to give a diploma to someone that you knew well, like for example, you're their mom, you'd be welcome to come on stage. And you could just let me know the names of the students that you would be interested in handing their diploma to. And I can give you like a few names beforehand so you know at what time you should come on stage and step in for Michelle and give diplomas to the students who you have relationships with. And then as we've done in the past, we will meet the graduates as they enter the park on Park Street, and we will process to our seating area, which will be that reserved section off to the left of the park while the graduates process around the circle. So that would remain the same that we've done in the past. And do you have any questions for me? That's what I'm thinking.
I like us all on the stage. I think if you look at Monogram Night and Tempo Awards Night, they all had everyone on the stage. They, Tempo did handshakes, but Monogram Night had all the coaches up there, and they did fist bumps. And I just think that that's been such a nice tradition that's been going on for, I don't even know how long. Nancy would know.
It actually hasn't been forever. It was a change probably about 15 years ago or so. I actually was thinking that given the fact that we're in a COVID spike, that it did make sense to kind of reduce the proximity of various people for lengths of time, even though it's outside. I mean, we would still be as the graduates left, as you're talking, as I understand it, Kelly, we would still be in a little line just to kind of wave and congratulate each student as they exited the stage. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, as they exit the stage, you can space apart along with the class advisors who typically stand there as well, who have a huge role in the growth of these students over these last 4 years, and give your nod, your congratulations, your thumbs up as they exit the stage and process back to their chair.
You might remember we actually did that at
In
the school field
2020.
right during COVID. I'm sorry, Michelle?
Did that in 2020.
Right. Yep. No, I'm just saying if you want to visualize what she's talking about.
Nancy?
Oh, I'm not against it. I just have a concern that if 4 of us are off the stage plus the 2 advisors, and you got that man that takes or woman takes a photograph of the kids, are we going to be disrupting because you've got the person taking that picture of the student with their diploma. I don't want to disrupt anything, and I'm a hugger, so I'm going to be hugging a few. Sorry.
Yeah, I actually changed that this year. So the photographer is actually going to take the picture of the moment that the student receives their diploma on stage rather than a posed picture off stage, because I think that moment is something that's impossible to capture as a parent. And it's an important moment of actually getting that diploma in your hand. So
I was under the understanding that there were 2 pictures. There was one photographer that did in the past, I could be wrong, did the one with them getting their diploma, but then another one as they came off the stage. So I mean, whatever. I just don't want to disrupt anything, but I also, that 2020, we were standing away. We didn't get to fist pump, or we didn't get to do anything with those graduates, maybe wave from afar, but last year was a little bit better. So it's just whether there's going to be a backup over on the end of it, but
right, but there won't be.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, I agree with you about the other events that, obviously the entire school committee or whoever was there could be on the stage, but that stage, of course, is much bigger and frankly, much sturdier.
Well, like Monogram night had, I don't know how many coaches there were, 20, which on their stage, but there's 5 of us. Yes, it's a smaller stage, but there's only 5 of us. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I like the traditions.
Which change all the time.
Traditions are always started by someone, and that's when they become a tradition.
Right.
Are there other changes, Kelly, that will be made that the schools committee should be aware of?
The only other change, let's see, I would say is, the date and time, which I've already announced back in the beginning of December of when the date and time of graduation was going to be. And then the other difference, I really love the idea of a very student-centered graduation and it being about the students. So the opening address will be made by the class president this year. There won't be any guest speakers. The class president will then just introduce me briefly. I'm not going to say much, to be honest with you. I want it to be about the students and their joy and their comfortability and what they have to share with their classmates. And I will then introduce the valedictorian and the elected class speaker after that, and then we'll confer the diplomas. That second portion is the same as it's been in the past.
Anyone else?
I'm fine either way. but appreciate the ability to hand out maybe one.
And I want to say, I do acknowledge and appreciate what you're saying, Michelle, about the traditions. I think I'm just trying to be really mindful that at some of these ceremonies, people can opt out, and you can't really opt out a graduation. And we do still have students who double mask at school, who are really cautious about it. And I'm thinking about their comfortability as they cross the stage to get their diploma, and in no way trying to negate a tradition that some people might feel is important.
As the school committee knows, those students are my people.
And this, you're aware that once after the kids sit down and they start the festivities, you know that it's 1 hour, right? You know that.
Oh, the graduation ceremony is 1 hour?
Yes.
Yes, I've been told multiple times. I'm very aware, and I'm proud to be a part of this community that has a 1 hour graduation now.
There you go. I mean, everything else is hours and hours, but the graduation.
Yeah, my high
is
school
1 hour.
graduation was 3 hours long.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no.
Oh, many are. I think that's been one of the best things about Easton's graduation forever, because it means that then, everybody can celebrate together. They're not sitting in the sun for 3 hours. So, yeah, we'll hope it's sunny though.
Well, I appreciate your
Like what-
feedback. I know this is not something we're voting on, but if there's anything else you want to share, any other thoughts that you have, I'm here. And I appreciate your flexibility and your thinking about it.
Would the concert band still be there?
Yes, they will be behind the stage as typical. Yep.
All right. Anyone else?
You just don't want to do all that hard work, Michelle. I know what the
No,
problem
I'm just.
is. I'm only teasing you. Come on.
Rotate and whatnot, so.
I know it's been a nice tradition, but it does make sense in view of the fact that there are still people who understandably are very concerned about how, about this virus, which seems to be with us forever.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
Right.
Thank you for sharing the, I don't know, the changes, I guess.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all. So
Great.
just email me if there's somebody that you want to hand the diploma to, so I can make sure that it's noted in the program that we're following. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Take care, everybody.
All right, COVID update.
Mrs. Pruitt will give you a COVID update on our cases.
Sure. So our case numbers have gone down a bit. You can find the exact numbers. I don't have them pulled up right here, unfortunately, but they have gone down a little bit. I will tell you that we had a call yesterday around some updates on COVID testing, and the commissioner was in attendance, as he was in attendance today at our MASS, Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents meeting, where he did say that the good news is that the wastewater numbers have decreased. So that is a good thing for us for the summer. I do want to update you a little bit on some of the changes that are coming. Again, we just got this information yesterday, and then we were at our conference today, so the playbook has not been updated yet. But there's two changes that are effective. One change that's effective immediately, and that is around quarantine. Currently, anyone that is considered a close contact outside of school and are unvaccinated, they had needed to quarantine, and that has now been lifted. As long as they are asymptomatic, if they are a close contact outside of school and they are not vaccinated, they do not need to quarantine. And that is effective immediately. So I did inform the nurses about that. We do have to update the playbook on that. And then as far as the testing goes, the testing program that was supposed to end in April is now being continued for the remainder of the year. What they are doing is the CIC, which has supported the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and DESE throughout this process, will not be used over the summer. So the end of their support with us will be ending at the end of the school year. However, the state will be providing self-tests for our summer school programs only. So those students that participate in summer school, whether it's through the Summer Enrichment Academy or through the extended school year program, if the parents are interested in receiving test kits, we will be ordering them. Also, what will continue is symptomatic testing. So if a parent agrees, and we will be sending out a new consent for all those that will be attending the SEA program or the extended school year program, if they're interested in having their child tested if they are symptomatic at school, we will have tests provided by the state for that purpose as well. Come the fall, we don't get supplies anymore, and it's up to the districts. So the state is recommending that we only do symptomatic testing where we have some tests on hand, and if a child has symptoms, if their parents agree to it, we would test them. Otherwise, they are recommending at this time, we have to include that in everything we say these days, at this time, they are recommending that we do not continue because of funding and the accessibility to all the at-home tests right now. There's a ton of accessibility in stores, at your local pharmacies and supermarkets for at-home tests. So they are recommending that we don't supply them anymore to staff and students. So that is the update currently. As Caroline stated before, I think that this is something that we are gonna now just have to adapt and learn to live with. And I think that, the symptomatic testing, I can foresee that continuing in our schools. But again, we don't know what the future will entail. At this time last year, we were also very hopeful, and it took a turn. So we just have to be very cautiously optimistic, but know that we are doing the best that we can.
Caroline?
I have a question. You said that the parent, it still requires parental consent to do symptomatic testing in
Yes.
school. Is there any change? I mean, if there's a child who is symptomatic, is there any change in the procedure? My understanding was that child, the parent would be notified to pick them up at this point.
Yes.
Would that continue to be the case?
Yes, and they have to meet the criteria for symptomatic for COVID. So,
Right.
Whether it's 1 or 2 symptoms, we have that posted on our website as well.
Right.
Yes, and that they will be asked to be picked up. And then the parent has the choice whether or not to test them. If they test negative, they return. If they decide not to test them, then we do ask them to keep their students home for 5 days.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to move the superintendent notes to before public comment. Can I have a second?
O'Neill, second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durance, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Essman, yes.
Star, yes.
All right, Dr. Cabral, thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. The school committee did respond to an open meeting law complaint with respect to the release of some executive session minutes. We have responded in a formal way and released the minutes. They can now all be found on the town website. The district, and not the school committee, but the district also received notice of a complaint that's been filed with DESE regarding our elementary schools and school council meeting minutes during the 2021 school year. That is not a function of the school committee, so as the superintendent, I will respond to that complaint. In addition, I just want the public to know that we'll take steps for a full meeting schedule for 22-23 as we have in the past. It will include combined council for the new school in January. I'm sure you can imagine that during COVID, it was very challenging not only to hold meetings, even required meetings, but it was very difficult to get volunteers. But we feel as though we're back on track and don't expect it to be a problem in any way. I also feel I have to build up to speak about the tragedy this week. It's been very emotional for many people. I'm sure you can understand how emotional it is for us, for our staff, our parents, our students. We literally have devoted our lives to the service of children, and being in school buildings and making them feel and be the safest possible places for everyone to be. So it's very frustrating, especially when reports now are coming out that the Robb Elementary School had a very comprehensive security plan and school resource officer who was, for whatever reason, unable to stop the shooter, despite the fact that they were armed as well. So I have been getting a lot of call about school resource officers. This did come up back when we were looking for some extra funding. That we did not receive the extra funding from the taxpayers. I will repeat that we are always interested in anything that helps us collaborate even more with the first responders in town. We have a great relationship and we speak frequently with one another, and we partner on many initiatives. We're fortunate that we have a police and fire station right on our main campus where all of our schools will be as of January. But I think what we've seen is that not really any plans are completely foolproof. However, a lot more people, I think, are more in tune with what we've been dealing with every day. We don't just discuss security. We don't just discuss safety when there's a tragedy. It's something that we are mindful about and keep updated all the time. We have a wonderful new fire chief, Justin Alexander, who is taking over the security response. So we've shared with him everything that we've been doing with fire department, police department, our school department, and our private security firm for the last 7 or 8 years. However, I just want to remind people that we stand firm in our belief that mental health and addressing the needs of people who are having mental challenges and feeling disconnected remains our job. That's our job in the school department, and that's our priority for our kids. 70% of all school shootings are committed by individuals who are 18 or younger, which to me gives the indication that it's possible to have an impact on 70%, if not more, of people who are struggling with isolation, mental health, and other issues. And so we continue to be committed to that process. Finally, I just want to thank all of you for the many events you've been participating in. May is a month that is by far, even more than September, the beginning of school. It is by far the busiest month of the school year, between ceremonies and end of year celebrations, field days, milestones, awards ceremonies, performances. It has been my privilege to attend them, and we have a very committed school committee who attends all of them as well. We always have great representation, and of course Mrs. Pruitt attending as well. So I want to thank you for that. It's not easy. I know that we rarely get home before 10 o'clock at night or even 9 o'clock at night, and so that's when we have the opportunity to start addressing emails. And so I appreciate the patience of those who write to me anywhere in the month of May and even the first month of June, but we will get caught up. I am confident that things will slow down in terms of having students on campus. There's a different kind of busy in the summer in terms of budgeting and reporting and all kinds of requirements for DESE and hiring, but we will get caught up. So thank you for your patience with that. And then finally, Mrs. Pruitt shared that we were at the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Conference today. We met with the commissioner and our colleagues, and you could see it on the faces of the people in the room. It's been a long road, and it's good to be able to share experiences and ideas with one another, and to meet with the commissioner who totally acknowledged all that he knows that we've done. It's really, I feel like it's our responsibility to shield our staff and our students even from a lot of the responsibilities that we have to take care of behind the scenes. So I know that probably our staff is not even aware of half the things that we have to do, but they have enough on their plates. And so we try to make sure that we continue. We keep high standards. We do it with a smile and support of all those who are struggling in their own ways. And so we thank you again for your support with that as well. It was a day of a great deal of focus on our initiatives, our READY initiatives, our racial equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives, and we heard some inspiring information, some interesting statistics, some upcoming initiatives, and we look forward to participating in them. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
All right. Assistant Superintendent notes. Chrissy?
I think it's public comment and then,
Oh, I'm all mixed up. Public comments, but I didn't see any. I guess that's why.
yeah, I don't see any either.
Okay, so now Chrissy.
Oh, wait, one just came in. Kathleen Sheehan, 10 Harrison Avenue. I really appreciate the fantastic SIP presentations and have a few follow-up questions surrounding the school councils who contributed to these presentations. Who are the parent representatives on each K-2 school council and how were they elected?
So thank you for your question. I'd be happy to help you with that. If you want to reach out to my assistant, we will set up a time. I think, who was that question? Actually, Mrs. Sheehan, I think we have, I think, I know actually that I answered you about not being able to meet with you in May, so we will meet in June. School councils actually don't get picked until September, and so we really do have time that we can discuss that. So I look forward to meeting with you, and based on your request of me, I also sent you the information of how they are elected. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, I invite you to do that, and we will be able to speak about this later, as it really is not as timely as all of the end of year events that I actually just spoke about.
There are two more questions from Kathleen Sheehan about school councils. Would you like me to read them?
I think we should read every comment.
Okay. Kathleen Sheehan, 10 Harrison Avenue, per Mass Law. Each K-2 should have a separate school council. Is there currently a school council with the principal of each school acting as the chair and a parent representative acting as the co-chair for each K-2 school?
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to address your question.
Kathleen Sheehan, 10 Harrison Avenue. I noticed that the school council for RO had more school professionals, i.e. teachers, principal, and assistant principal. As you're probably aware, this does not meet the parity requirement as outlined by MGL Chapter 71, Section 59C. What is being done to remedy this?
Same answer. Thank you very much. I also checked and I saw that while the invitation went out to all of the parents at your child's school, that we did not hear that you were interested. You did not respond to that. However, if you are interested, you will have ample opportunity to participate in school council if you answer that call in the fall. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Kasena. So Kasena, we need to have your address in order to read your question. Kasena. Okay, Kasena Goncalves, 12 Pleasant Heights Drive. My name is Kasena, and I'm happy to hear some of the school improvement plans around equity work in the schools. However, can we have an update about what the process has been in terms of diversifying teaching staff and adjustment counselors?
Yes, we have actually been able to increase our diversity in our staff over the last 5 years, and we continue that. I am part of a pilot, the READY that I spoke about earlier, READY Leading and Learning, and also a PLC or Professional Learning Committee, Professional Learning Community with Mrs. Pruitt and others in the district, specifically on recruiting and, more importantly, retaining staff of equity. And so we are excited to begin some affinity group work, some cross affinity group work. We are being considered for participation in a very diverse job fair it's not a job fair. It's an organization that is focused on recruiting diverse candidates, but they have an amazing job fair as part of their work. So we have put in an application to join them. We have some other things going on, but we will definitely be presenting this throughout the school year also. And so again, if you're interested in getting involved in any of that, please contact our office. We'd love to have you be part of it.
And I also just want to add that our new director of human resources is one of the reasons why we were very excited to bring her on board, is she also is very committed to this work of diversifying our staff and has a record of doing so in previous employment. So we're very excited about that. Oh, and one last thing, we are working on a partnership with Merrimack to get interns into our district, and we have shared with them some of our priorities, and that does include diversifying our staff. So they are focusing on that as well when they're placing interns within our district. Okay. Kathleen Sheehan, 10 Harrison Avenue. An email sent out by the principal asking for volunteers for school council is not the process that should be followed per mass law. And yes, I have not had the opportunity to read your email that was sent at 4:19 today. I will read it after this meeting. Thank you. Ksenia.
You're welcome. As I stated, we were at a conference all day today, and I usually read my emails when I am finished in the evening, probably about 8 or 9 tonight. So I'm glad you got it, because it was a priority to answer you in a timely fashion.
Ksenia Goncalves, 12 Pleasant Heights Drive. Is it possible to have a committee that consists of BIPOC students and parents of the community to be included in the hiring process?
Yes, absolutely. As Mrs. Pruitt just said, we just hired I'm used to HR being human rights in Easton, because we've never had an HR human resources director in Easton before. And those are among her priorities. So we will definitely be launching that in the coming future. She's been here for 2 weeks. So she's establishing right now her list of priorities that's on them, but I can't say that we've yet established her specific action plan, but certainly that is one of our goals.
Less than 2 weeks.
Less than almost 2 weeks.
She's brand new.
Yes.
But it's been great so far.
Yes.
And that is all right now.
All right, thank you. So Assistant Superintendent notes, Chrissy.
So since we last met, we had town meeting. I just want to take the opportunity to thank the town for passing our budget. That was wonderful, and we are very appreciative of that. I also want to let you know that our Summer Enrichment Academy registrations for K-8 are now closed. Currently, we have 190 students interested K-5 and 72 students interested 6-8. We're very excited. This is actually an increase in our program from last year, and we're very excited. Notices will be going out to families next week. Yep. No, I'm sorry. Give us a week. So the week after next, whether or not their children are accepted into the program. Oh, actually, I said June 3rd. I'm looking at different calendars. I've got like 7 calendars over here. I apologize. So June 3rd, you'll be notified whether or not your child was accepted into the program. We are trying to include all students. So please know that. So it's very likely that all students will be included. And shout out for K-8, Megan St. Martin, Rita Pastori are going to be our Summer Enrichment Academy coordinators at the K-5 level. And Amy Meehan and Abby Boyd are our coordinators at the 6-8 level. More information is, we're still finalizing the 9-12 because it is tied to some credit recovery. So that, that information will be provided soon. I also just wanted to update you on our literacy process, our literacy adoption process. Again, we're continuing to meet with publishers. We have 3 upcoming meetings to finalize and round out our 5 programs that we're looking at. We will be choosing at least 2. We're hopefully narrowing it down to 2 to pilot in the fall. So I will be updating you and continue to update you on that progress as well. Our curriculum leadership team is in the process of updating our curriculum review process. So again, come the fall, you will hear more information around that. We are going to be dedicating our work over the summer to that, to finalizing that review process. There was a process in place prior to my arrival. However, now through the pandemic, and understanding that there's different needs in our curriculum and our cycles and looking at curriculum, we recognize that we need to update our curriculum review process to align with what our current needs are. So that will be a presentation shared with you when that is completed. And lastly, I just want to share that our superintendent, who's extremely humble in what she does, I have to highlight that she presented at Mass today in front of her peers on the ready work that we are doing throughout the state. And as always, she was fabulous. So she's a great representative for our district. And I'm always very proud sitting in the audience as I hear people around me say how great and articulate she is and how knowledgeable she is on this work. So just wanted to share that with the school committee.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you. All right, school committee notes.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. She also got her 10-year award for being, today, 10-year recognition for being in the MASS organization. So assistant superintendent and superintendent.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see, Caroline?
I have nothing prepared tonight and especially because I know at least you and Jen will have a whole bunch to share, and Sharon and obviously Nancy too, and maybe even Jackie. So I'm gonna just be quiet.
All right, we'll come back to me. So we'll go to, I don't know who's next, Nancy.
I'm gonna let Jackie and Jen and you take over. I've already said what I've had to say. Thanks.
What's going on? All right, Jackie.
Well, I've been in quarantine for a while, so I didn't get out much. So I really don't have anything to say other than, the new school is coming along, as I always say, amazingly. It's the progress week to week has been incredible, and very excited for it to open soon. Thanks.
Great, the pressure's on, Jen.
I know, right? And I've actually been like in so many meetings lately at night that I haven't been able to make a lot of these events, but it's been exciting to see like my social media feeds full of notifications and pictures, and our kids are out there and their families are with them having an absolute blast at so many events that are related to the district. So I'll first talk about Michelle. I will take the MHAE because I actually was there, that expo on the hat shell. So I'll talk about that, but you can cover the rest of the music stuff. That was a really fantastic day. So a beautiful Sunday, almost 2 weeks ago, the high school jazz band got to perform at the Hat Shell in Boston, and I might be a little biased. There were a lot of wonderful bands there. I think they got the most applause and knocked it out of the park. So
I get that feedback a lot.
Yeah, their performance was really, really outstanding and just so fun, and they just really look like they're having a good time up there, which is fantastic. And then so I know we already talked about the town meeting, monogram night. What I saw lots of pictures. Again, I couldn't make that. And there was an extracurricular awards night, freshman dinner dance. I did not make the equity series presentation last night because I had another commitment, but I don't know if you got any feedback on that, Chrissy, from last night.
I have not gotten feedback on it yet. However, there is a recording. So I'm going to look at it. I haven't opened that email yet because we've been out of the office most of the day. But I will look and see if I can share that, because I would love to send that out to the community if I am allowed to share that.
Yeah, that would be really great. I know Broadway night is going on tonight as we speak, and then just upcoming, it's nonstop celebrating the senior class and heading close to the end of the year. So from a community perspective, the parade will happen on this Saturday at 11. So that'll be in that 3-mile loop around the schools that's gone on for the past couple of years. And then next week, we're looking ahead to class night and prom and the cruise and the march through the schools. And then, of course, commencement. So busy time.
It is busy.
Nonstop.
So I did not get to the half shell this time, and I was really disappointed in that, but thank you for posting the music. It's always a really special event, and our band has to earn a gold medal to be able to qualify to even be able to go to that. And you mentioned Broadway night tonight. If you guys leave now, you might still get to see the parents perform Footloose. That is going to be an event not to be missed. I hope someone's taping that. Also in music, between now and our next meeting is on June 7th is the RO Chorus Orchestra Spring Concert at 7 o'clock. On June 8th is the RO Spring Band Concert at 7 o'clock. And on June 9th is a 6th grade spring concert at 7 o'clock. And then I am on the school committee rep on HRC, and we actually have 2 events that I just want to give a call out, shout out to. The first one is Easton Unified, and if people recall, the HRC worked with RMK, Raising Multicultural Kids, to create a proclamation against anti-racism, and that was presented to the school committee roughly a month ago. And it was also presented as the select board and a variety of other places, and various stakeholders adopted this proclamation and signed it. And there's going to be a celebration, kind of an unofficial kickoff of this proclamation on June 20th, 2022 from 4 to 6 at Queeset Gardens. And the flyer, just quickly, I'll read it. Let's come together as a community on Juneteenth holiday to support Easton's proclamation of anti-racism. Learn how you can commit to ensuring the health and safety of our community and members. So that's going to be a nice family community event if that's something that you are interested in. And also the HRC is working with a couple local organizations and a former OA student who started an organization all around acceptance and tolerance, and the event is called Easton Pride, and it's going to be June 18th from 11 to 2 at the sheep pasture. It's going to be a family event with music, food, games, activities. It's going to be a really wonderful event. Rain or shine, come out and visit us. Might be it. I think that's it. Great. Dr. Carl, did you want to talk about a little bit about celebrating Easton? I kind of think that was a event people could and you can't.
You had said that you wanted to talk about it, so I didn't, because I thought you wanted to.
Oh no.
Sorry.
No, I think that was a misunderstanding. I want you to. I'm sorry.
Yes, of course. No, that's okay. Because I know I go before you guys, so sometimes I try to predict what you want to talk about. So I thought you were giving me a heads up. Okay, sure. So we were invited to attend the Lions Club event as honorees for our work in the school department. And when I say we, I mean the entire district. So this was a district recognition for our work during COVID and during the crisis, and redefining education in many different ways, and keeping our kids safe and educated, and supporting them and their mental health needs, and continuing to do so while closing achievement gaps. And so we were teachers. So we had a lot of collaboration. We thought about the areas that people would probably have known the least about, like how did we how did we keep phys ed going? How did we keep art and music going? How did we have our extracurricular activities for students so that they could still feel connected and have events? Everything from that to how we had to adapt our facilities, how we acquired all of our air purification systems and technology. Pro tip, it is not easy to buy 2,000 Chromebooks at the same time while the rest of the world is also trying to buy Chromebooks. There were many acts of persuasive language, maybe persistent language going on, but we were able to get all of our air purifiers and our computers and our devices that we needed and training and so forth. Our nurses, what they've done, our secretaries, clerical aides, literally everybody. I hate when I start naming positions because I always leave somebody out. It literally was all hands on deck. I think the most profound part for me when I really knew we were going to be okay, even though we did not know what we were about to deal with and certainly couldn't have even imagined it, was the very first summer. We left school on March 13th. We immediately had cooperation from our unions and our leaders and our teacher leaders to come up with some kind of plan to round out the rest of that school year, but then immediately asked for volunteers when the world was literally closed, to help us reinvent education. We had 3 models the state required of us. In addition, we had to communicate that to everyone in a manner that was clear and helped people understand what we were going to do and how we were going to mobilize, and had to think of every single student, single staff member and family, and how we were going to address those needs before the first day of school even started. And over 160 people participated in that. This is when we didn't have even masks out to everyone yet. We certainly didn't have test kits. We definitely didn't have vaccines. People were really confused about where this was going. I had to think back about the misinformation that was out there, or the not yet understood information about COVID, and how really scary that fear of the unknown was. And people did not have to work. They had their own families and loved ones and selves to worry about, and they dedicated their time literally every day of every week for the entire summer. And we put together a plan that was ultimately used as a model across the state that I'm super proud of. And so we shared these many facets at the Lions Club. Even every member of this school committee participated in that summer work, which is just, it blows the minds of my colleagues across the state that was even possible. Just so you have context, other superintendents literally sat in a room or online with their leadership team of like a skeleton crew and did all this work on their own. So you can imagine, we don't have the lens of every single person. We can't predict how things are going to go or what problems we might encounter. A plan is great if it works, but we really needed to get the perspectives of many people, and we had that. And so that's why I believe it was so successful. Do we have our hiccups? Yeah, because we had to keep changing trajectory to meet what was happening in the world. But I couldn't have been more proud or humbled to work with and work for such an amazing team. So it was my pleasure to share that. And ECAT did video that, and it should be available on their website for anybody that would like to go back and see it. I encourage you to do so, because I think you would be very impressed, and you should be very proud if your children are a part of this system, or if you're just a part of this community, that you have such dedicated, loving, and professional people serving everyone, the community, the children, and the families here in Easton.
And I just want to add to that. I really encourage people to go back and watch all of it. It was amazing. There were 3 parts to it: the select board, the Chamber of Commerce, and the school department. But our presentation had in person and in the presentation, teachers, students, songs, Darth Vader. I mean, he came to our presentation, like,
That's not a teaser. I don't know what it is.
I'm just saying. But it was just, and we lived through it, and it left me in awe. There's tears, there's laughs, it's somewhat therapeutic, in my opinion. I don't know, watch it. So I think everybody who had a hand in all of that work, and then in putting it together to share with the community, I think that was really important. All right, anything else? No? Okay. All right, so before I make a motion for executive session, our next meeting is June 9th at 5 o'clock. I didn't check that. I know we have something coming up. When is the EEA, Nancy? When is that?
I think that is the 9th. I think we have a 6:30. That is
9th is 6:30, right?
Right. 6:30.
All right. 9th at 6:30. Thank you. So I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session and not to return to open session for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to bargaining with Unit A. And in my opinion, having this discussion in public would be detrimental to the bargaining position of the school committee. Do I have a second?
Wiseman, second.
Roll call vote.
O'Neill, yes.
Durant, yes.
DeLuca, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Dar, yes.
All right, thank you.